Oh, let's bring this bitch closer. Today we're learning about relationships. Welcome to the stream. Today we're learning about relationships so I can make sure that I understand the relationships set up in my app. Because AI helped me set up relationships, I did not do that myself. I need to see how it actually works. So let's go and learn that right now. Actually, let's chuck on the old headphones. Let me grab those. You know what's interesting? Talking out loud, I think, helps me a lot. Understanding things. Because I end up talking out loud to myself a lot of the time anyway, by myself. Literally just by myself. All right. Let's get back in here. Wah. Wah. Oops. Oops. All right, let's watch this video. Hashtag excitement. Learning in the morning. Learning in the afternoon.
Alright, welcome back everyone. My name is Nick. This channel is Swiftful Thinking, where we cover all things Swift, SwiftUI related. And in this video, we're going to take a little more of an advanced look at core data. And we're going to set up our data models in core data so that they have relations, so that they can connect and interact with each other. Now, before we begin, I want to point out that you should have a basic understanding of core data before we work on this. So if you don't, the last two videos in this series, I covered and introduced core data. So definitely watch those first and then come on back to this. And I also want to point out that most of the time, at least in my experience, when we're using core data in our apps, we very simply are just saving data, we are maybe updating and then getting data.
Should I go and look at those core data videos? Maybe I should. I'll watch them on double time speed. Not double time, but
It's okay if you don't have a
faster.
team here, you can leave that blank or none for now. I'm just using my personal team. Organization identifier should just be com dot and then your organization or your team,
I actually
your
already started
company.
it.
It's not very relevant for now because we're not going to put this into the
Got
App
some
Store.
peanut
On the
butter.
interface, make sure
Peanut
it's
butter coffee this morning. I freaking love this peanut butter coffee I got.
SwiftUI, the lifecycle SwiftUI app, the language is Swift, and in this project, we are going to use core data. We're not going to host it in CloudKit, so that can stay unchecked, but make sure use core data is clicked here. And when we click this, Apple's going to give us some of that template code to use core data. Go ahead and click next. Find where you want to save it in your computer. Go ahead and click create. All right, and once we're in our project here, let's first click resume on the canvas to make sure we're all connected. And as you can see, because we clicked core data, there's a whole bunch of this template logic here that Apple has already written and given us. And there's also another file here, which we're going to look in a minute, called persistence, which Apple has given us. So click resume and make sure we're all connected. It might take a second to load because it's actually loading core data to load into the
I wonder
app
if
again.
anyone's gone down and commented after doing oh yeah, 1 year ago when Swift data came out.
All right, and before we get coding, we're going to take a look
Wow,
at some
going
of this
crazy
template code
outside.
just to see what Apple has given to us, what some of this logic is actually doing. So at the top here, I'm just going to change my device to iPhone 12 because it looks a little better. So let's start at the beginning of our app here. So we're going to go back into the core data bootcamp app.swift file. And in this file, we can see the app main. So this is where our app is starting. And inside this file, we are creating a persistence controller. And if you follow my last couple videos, we created some singleton classes. And
This is similar to Swift data
this right
already.
here is actually a singleton class. So if we look at the persistence controller.shared, and I right click it and jump to the definition, we can see that static let shared equals persistence controller. So this is a singleton, which we've been using. So you should be used to this by now. Basically, that means this is one instance that we're going to use across our entire app. I'm going to go back, and it looks like we're getting a reference to this persistence controller right here. And then we're putting this persistence controller into the environment. Now, if you watch some of my other videos, if you are familiar with the environment,
Did you just get quieter?
you should be used to this by now. Basically, that means this is one instance that we're going to use across our entire app.
The hell?
I'm going to go back, and it looks like we're getting a reference to this persistence controller right here. And then we're putting this persistence controller into the environment. Now, if you watch some of my other videos, if you are familiar with the environment object, this is kind of the same thing. We're putting this, whatever this is, into the environment so that all of the views that are subviews of this view will have access to whatever we're putting in the environment. And it looks like we're putting in a view context. So before we go to the content view, let's take a look at what this persistence controller actually is. So I'm going to jump to that. I'm going to right click on the shared and jump to definition. I could also just click on the persistence.swift file on the navigator on the left side. And this is a struct called persistence controller. We have a singleton, so a single instance of it. And it looks like this variable here is a static preview of the persistence controller that I'm guessing we're going to be using for the actual preview in our application. Below this, it looks like we have another variable called container.
Oh my god, that is... that is so much more daunting looking than Swift data.
This is of type NS persistence container. And then we have our init statement, and this is where we actually are initializing a persistence controller. And there's a parameter called inMemory that's set to false by default unless we override it. And it looks like we're first setting up this container by setting container equal to a new NS persistence container. The name of this container is Core Data Bootcamp. And while we're looking at this, the name Core Data Bootcamp here is the exact same as the name of this other file, coredatabootcamp.xc data model ID.
Oh, why am I so sleepy?
And if you named your project something else, this probably says whatever your project name is, and so does this. So basically, this container is referencing this file here. Then there's a little bit of logic here for if it's in the memory, but we're not actually going to use that, so I'm not going to worry about it. And then there's a container.load persistent stores. And this is basically the main function to load the data from the container. So you can think of the container kind of as the database that's holding all of our data. So
if I make this full screen, can you guys see this? No, you can't. Interesting. Kind of lame.
Where that all is stored. And here we are loading all the content from that container. So there's a little bit of logic here that says if there's an error, cause a fatal error. And fatal error is an automatic crash in your application. And Apple is doing this just in case we go to create this app and for some reason we can't find this persistent container because maybe we spelled this wrong. Well, we're going to crash immediately. So Apple's just letting us know that if you set this up wrong, we're going to cause a fatal error here. And this is great for development purposes, but I will say that if you're putting this into your actual application, I would probably remove any fatal error because I would personally rather have the data not saving than the app actually crashing. Regardless, we're going to keep it in for now because if we're setting up something wrong, let's get it crashed so we know what we're doing wrong. All right, now that we see the persistence controller is basically creating the container, loading the data into the container, we can jump back into the core data app, bootcamp-app.swift. So we have our controller, which holds that container. And then in the environment, we're putting in the controller.container.view context. And the view context is actually going to be the data that's inside that container. So if we jump into the content view, we then have a very simple screen here. We have a list, and the list is
it looks very similar to Swift data as well, the way they set this up.
And if we look at the items, it is actually this variable here. So this variable is an @fetchRequest with sort descriptors. This is basically just sorting all of the data in this request. So they're sorting it by timestamp. And then with animation is just default. And this items is of type fetch results and is going to be a bunch of items. So we're taking those items.
You know what I realized? I realized that the app I'm building right now for the startup, I don't know, I want to say like I feel like it's beyond my capabilities. Like what my friend wants, or maybe it's just beyond my capabilities in the sense of like, you know, thinking, well, how do I do this? How do I do this? Actually, no. It is because there's certain stuff that I mean, it probably should be obvious. I don't know. Maybe it should be obvious certain things in there, but like I wouldn't have thought to do it, which means I don't know how to do it, which is fine because, building is obviously part of the learning process and you need to get information from other people sometimes, including AI, to figure out how to do something. So I need to like sometimes it's hard for me to accept that I don't know enough. I think that's one of my weaknesses, I guess. Or is that a strength?
And we're looping through them. And then it says item at, and then we get the timestamp, and we can see that right here on the screen. Here's all of our items.
Item.
And then there's a toolbar, which we can't actually see right now. But if we could see the
This
toolbar and we were in a navigation view, we would see this edit button. And there should be a button to actually add an item as well. So let's put our list into a navigation view, just so we can start to see some of this toolbar. So let's add a navigation view, open the brackets, and we're going to put the list inside.
I'm pretty sure there's no
So for
if
our purposes, because we're
hashtag
on
if
an
OS
iPhone, we're actually not going
and
to use
if
the toolbar. We're just going to use the navigation bar
in
buttons.
Swift data
So let's
anymore.
just go ahead and write navigation bar button. Now, sorry, navigation bar items, leading and trailing. Let's put these on separate lines. The leading will be the edit button, which we have right here, and then the trailing will be this button. So I'm just going to cut this button and just paste it into the view here. Let's get rid of this toolbar modifier, and we should be able to see both of our buttons on the screen here. Let's take this list and
That's
give it a
different, I'm pretty
.list
sure.
style of plain list style.
I'm pretty sure isn't navigation bar items isn't that deprecated?
So we get back to our starting state, and let's add a
Pretty sure it is.
navigation title of maybe core data.
Is anyone else here learning Swift? I just realized maybe no one's learning Swift. How do I switch calendar stream? Is there no way to edit my stream's name from the damn OBS settings? Nope. Nope. Why not throw in some of my new emoji? I'll pin that. It's fun. Fun as fuck, boy. Change my stream name here. Edit. I'll save that there. Woo! All right.
Bootcamp. All right, very simple screen here. We have all our items that are just preloaded. These are fake items right now. We have the ability to add an item. If we click this add item, it automatically added one at the bottom. And we can see here that the function is add item. So in the add item, it's doing it with animation. It's creating a new item. And then this is a blank item right now. And then it's going to give that item a timestamp, which is the current date. And then it's going to do this do statement, which basically calls the context, which
Let new item equals item context view context. New item dot timestamp equals date.
remember we put into the environment at the beginning. And it's just calling.
Right. Do try view context dot save. I'm pretty sure that's not in Swift data anymore.
Save on that context. And if there's an error saving, it's going to cause a fatal error, and we're going to get a quick little crash. When we have delete items,
Quick
it's
little
almost the same
crash.
logic. This line of code is finding that data in the data array and then calling view context.delete. And after it's deleting that item, it's just calling save again. So if we swipe to delete on our preview, we can actually delete these items, and they're being saved in real time. So if I were to close this app and reopen this app, the core data would persist and it would save between
So we
sessions.
don't really need to know this
and this
part.
is all great that Apple has given us this fetch request and the environment preloaded into our app. But of course, this model
But I just want to
exactly
see
what we're looking for. Most of the
kind
time,
of
we're
what's
going to
going on
models.
here.
So let's go ahead and start changing this around to adapt
when
for
it comes
our
to
template
what we
application
need
right
to
now.
know for
So what we're going to do, instead
relationship.
of just a list of items, we're going to have a list of fruits. And this will be a list of all the fruits that we want to save in our application. So let's change the title to fruits. Let's get rid of the edit button because we're not even using it right
Let's
now.
blast through this.
All right. So let's first look at the item, see what it is, and then let's create a fruit. So right now, if we go into the core data bootcamp.xc data model file, we can see that we have an entity here, and our entity is called item, and it has a timestamp with a date. So of course, we want to create a new fruit entity instead of just an item. And we're going to create a new entity instead of this item. So let's go ahead and click add entity.
Huh? I never did this in Swift Data. What
This entity
is
we're going to
this?
call fruit entity.
Is
Let's
this
use the
just
word
another way
entity
to
just
do
so that
it?
we know this is like a core data entity. And if I
Holy.
click onto the fruit entity, we should see that there is no attributes right now. So we want to actually add some attributes, and all our fruits are going to have is basically a title. So let's click the plus here. Let's add a name for the fruit, and the name is going to be a string. Now, if you had other attributes that you wanted to include in this data model, so if you wanted to have booleans and more names or a subtitle, you would go ahead and add all of these right here. You would put your name and then whatever type you want it to be here. Now, I'll note that you can't save images directly to core data. You could save binary data, so you could convert an image into data. You convert
Yo. Don't know why I said yo, but hello. I love the emojis. I don't know why, but I'm obsessed with the
a
progress
color
bar.
into data, but you can't
The
save a color
circular
or an
one.
image directly into core data. When you're saving core data, most of the time you're going to
I'm
want to keep your
blasting
data
through
into
this
the
right
data
now.
types that are right here. So doubles, floats, strings, bools, dates, UIDs,
Blasting.
etc. But I'm not going to use this one, so let's press the minus sign, and we're just going to have a name that is of type string.
Hold on, I
And the cool
blasted too fast. I don't know
right
what's
now,
going
so
on.
data entity. And if I click onto the fruit entity, we should see that there is no attributes right now. So we want to actually add some attributes, and all our fruits are going to have
I
is
just need to
basically a
go
title.
over core data really quickly, just because, not to know it, but like to go over the video about relationships. Um, yes and no. Like, it's mostly done, I think. The mock data is there. The visuals are not quite there, but they're there at the same time. Like, you can see everything. Um, it doesn't look super pretty, but it's functional for the most part. But I'm just going over relationships because I need a break from just like constantly figuring out what I need to do. So I'm letting him teach me because I need to go over the thing that the AI helped me make, which was setting up relationships. I managed to find potential investors this fast. It's not an investor, it's my friend, and it's not a, well, the investor is going to be the government. So we're hoping to get a grant of like, it could be from somewhere between 20 to 100K or something like that to build our app,
So let's click the plus here.
build our
Let's add
project
a
basically,
name
build
for
our
the fruit,
startup.
and the name is going to be a string. Now, if you had other attributes that you wanted to include in this data model, so if you wanted to have booleans and more names or a subtitle, you would go ahead and add all of these right here. You would put your name and then whatever type you want it to be here. Now, I'll note that you can't save images directly to core data. You could save binary data, so you could convert an image into data. You convert a color into data, but you can't save a color or an image directly into core data. When you're saving core data, most of the time you're going to want to keep your data into the data types that are right here. So doubles, floats, strings, bools, dates, UIDs, etc. But I'm not going to use this one, so let's press the minus sign, and we're just going to have a name that is of type string. While we're here, we can also remove the item. So let's just click on the item and click the delete button on your keyboard. So the core data bootcamp only has a fruit entity right now. Let's go back into the persistence.swift file. Let's take a look at this. And this preview, I forgot to mention, is actually on the content view. When you look at the preview of the content, it's referencing persistentcontroller.preview.container.view context. So we're going to go back into that persistence, and when we look at this, the persistence controller, the logic is all fine, but in this statement right here, it's going for 0 to 10. It's creating a new item, and the item it's putting into the context, and then for each of those items, it's going to give it a date. And we just deleted the item from our context, right? So instead of adding an item here, let's add a fruit entity. It's not coming up on my app, so I'm going to click Command-Shift-K to clean and rebuild. Let's try this again, fruit entity, and it is not working on my Xcode project. I've ran into this problem before. Sometimes the indexing just doesn't work when we update that data model. So I'm going to actually just close out and quit Xcode and then reopen this file real quick. All right, so I'm back in the file. It is now finding that fruit entity. I'm going to open the parentheses and go to the context. We're going to add this to the view
So
context, which will be
weird.
found right here. And let's call this new fruit. And then we're just going to
So
call new fruit dot
this is a lot
name.
different from Swift data. Oh, let's go to Tim Cook. You know what? I think this app actually that I'm working on is something that he would actually like jump on. Oh, speaking of jumping on an app, imagine if they bought us out. Well, no, Apple wouldn't, but someone might. That'd be
We need
sick.
to give it a name, and I'm just going to add Apple, and then use the backslash open close parentheses, and let's just give it an ID based on this loop here. So this will be, let's call this X, and let's just put
I
X
would
in big.
take probably 1 point. I'd probably take 3 million for my app. I think it's probably worth 3 million if someone wanted to buy it out. Because that way the three partners, me, my friend, and his friend, who is sort of is not really my friend, but I know him. Um, we all get 1 million.
So our list should say
I
Apple 1,
wouldn't.
Apple
I
2, Apple
don't think I would sell it for less than 1 million because I think it could make more than that over time
3, Apple 4,
for sure.
etc. The rest of this looks good
Because it's a government app, so it's gonna be a government like product, or like an education product,
to me. We'll go down here in the
and
init.
it's gonna expand to not just teachers, but it's not gonna be just for teachers. It's gonna be for parents at home as well. So it's gonna expand from schools to home use.
This looks fine. The container name is actually still Core Data Bootcamp because we haven't changed this container here, which is the file on the left. If we created a new XC data model, we would have had to change the name here. And then we're just
Yeah, I mean it does need to, well, hey, we're all about optimism here, so 3 million or nothing.
loading the persistent stores, and this all looks good. So there's actually not much code we had to write here to update this for our new fruit. So going back into Core Data App Bootcamp,
Maybe 1.5 million would be sufficient. I'm just trying to think how much would be feasible for us to all split in terms of money, like, and what it could be worth. I think maybe early stages 1.5 million, but like later stages maybe 3.
this should all be the same. Let's go back into the content
3
view, and there are
million
some
and 1
things that we do
cent.
need to update.
Fuck, that'd
All
be
right,
good.
so
That'd be a
first,
that'd be an Omega government contract. That'd be like UFO worthy.
an error on this fetch request that the fetch results, it can't find item in scope, and that's because, of course, we want fruits. I'm going to create a new fetch request from scratch for you guys. So let's go at fetch request, open parentheses.
So
We're going
this
to look
is
for the very
different
simple one
too.
with entity
Pretty
and
sure.
sort descriptors. And this is first looking for what kind of entity we want to get from this fetch request. So of course we want to get the fruit entity, and we're going to call dot entity. So now it knows what we want to get. And then sort descriptors is how we want to sort this data. And right now we're not going to sort it at all, so let's just keep this a blank
You know what
array.
I've noticed? I actually love putting on the subscriber mode because you don't get those people always popping in saying, "Why the hell would you learn Swift in this day and age with AI? Why the hell would you do that?" They have to go through that extra step of subscribing first to chat, and they don't want to do that.
And let's call this
Genuine people who want to talk will subscribe first and then say something.
var fruits. And this will be of type,
I mean, yeah.
just like right here, fetch results of fruit entity. And let's go ahead and delete this first
This is different that he did. Fetch request entity fruit entity dot entity sort descriptors blank. He didn't do any of this.
request because we're not using it anymore. Let's take this fetch request, which is called fruits, put it into our for each.
That's way simpler than what it was before.
This will be for each fruit.
Ugh.
Let's change this text to say text, and let's just give it the fruit dot name. Remember, this should be like apple 1, apple 2, apple 3. Otherwise, with 2 question marks, and we'll just put a blank string. So if the fruit doesn't have a name, we'll just leave a blank string. And then we should be able to actually load this on the canvas, and we can get all of our fruits coming in. Remember, we made the preview fruits just say apple with a number. And let's go ahead and update our add item function here. So like before, when we had the new item, we're going to say let new fruit equals fruit entity. Let's give it the context, which is the view context, which we're pulling in again from the environment. And then we're going to call new fruit dot name, and we're going to set that equal to, let's set this equal to orange. We're going to update this in a second. Let's get rid of some of this old data.
Oh my god, his laptop
And
is
then I
starting
noticed
to
that in the add item
blast
and the
off.
delete items, both of these functions have the same do statement where we save the data. So I'm just going to make that its own function. So let's call private func save items, open close parentheses, open the brackets. Let's
This
take
I
the
don't
here
really
and
need
delete
to
this do
know
statement, and we'll
because
call
I
save items.
know how to do it roughly in Swift
But
data.
this is probably a better approach to do it, but it's a little complicated. For beginner developers. So this offset first
And I
next in this offset
don't
set,
expect I'll be
and this is
doing
optional.
anything
So
with that.
let's say guard let index equals dot first else return. Then we'll say. So I'll delete this logic here, and very simply, this is going to find our fruit, delete it from the context, and then we need to click save. All right.
So here he doesn't explain that very well.
And we now have all of our apples.
I
Let's click add
noticed.
item.
So what's he
Simulator
gonna
on an
do
actual
here?
device. I would be able to add items and then delete them, and they would save forever because they're saving in core data. Now, there's a couple things I want to do before we wrap up this video. At the top, right now, it looks like these are not organized by anything, and that's because we didn't add any sort descriptors.
Yeah, but you're doing so well though, aren't you? Is it not fun to add a backend function for a small feature when it's AI? Frustration coming from somewhere.
So with the sort descriptors, we can keep our data sorted however we want. So I'm going to put this on separate lines here.
So what are you gonna do with your Instagram clone, by the way?
Let's even put the var fruits on a separate line.
You're gonna use it
let's
as a
add
portfolio?
a descriptor in this array. So if I hold the option button and click on sort descriptors, it is looking for
And how are you making it? Speaking of building it, how are you doing it? Like, are you where are you getting your information from? Like learning it? Like, are you watching tutorials or are you like? I don't think actually. Did I ask you this? Are you watching tutorials or are you like reading books or? I probably asked you a while ago, but I forgot.
ns sort descriptor. So let's add one. ns sort descriptor, open the parentheses. I'm going to look for the one with a key path and ascending completion. The key path is going to be /fruit
Oh no, here we go.
dot name. So we're going to sort by the name, and let's just do ascending is true. So our data should now be always organized by name. And so we have apple 0 at the top, 9 at the bottom. And if I add an item, the item is going to have the word orange, so that should always be at the bottom. So if I add items, they will always go to the bottom.
Huh.
And if we made this false,
My notes site is where I learned. Now I am applying that knowledge and asking AI only when I get stuck. Oh, that's really good. Well done. Oh, speaking of knowledge, have you considered, oh, maybe you, well, maybe you wouldn't consider this, but like have you seen that there's like programs in Facebook and Google to get like certificates for coding stuff? Oh, I see. Okay.
and click to resume,
I see.
when we add items, they will always be at the top because it is now organized, it's now sorted by name, and it's descending. So that looks awesome. All right, and now the last thing I want to do before we wrap up this video is actually show you this on a simulator. And I don't like that we're adding the word orange every time. I want to be able to add my own fruits. So in this navigation view, let's add a VStack. Let's give it some spacing of 20.
Set our own
Open
fruits,
brackets.
boys.
Let's take
Yes, I have a plan to take AWS certificate. Is that the Amazon one? And for now, it's just grinding time. Is that not like a course though? Like, do you not learn? Because the Google one and the Meta one, it's like a full-on course that you learn and then get the certificate at the end. So like, why not straight up like go into the course? Do you know what I mean? Like, why grind when you could just be learning towards the certificate? Genuine question, not judgment.
list
I think sometimes my statements come out, the way that I say them just come out like, sounds like I'm judging someone, but I'm not.
list style. Let's cut it. Let's paste it inside the
Oh, okay. So you basically want to learn and know everything before the course so you can just like breeze through the course and then have the certificate at the end.
stack. And then above the list, I'm going to
But like
get
what if it's timed though? Like what if you have to like do a certain amount of something per week or whatever? Or maybe if you had homework, you just do it immediately. Get it done. Any course fully. Well, you're gonna have to complete the course, otherwise you won't get a
first
certificate.
add a text field. Open the parentheses. Let's use the string
Know what I'm
protocol
saying?
and text. The title of the
Know what I'm
text field will
saying?
say add fruit here, dot, dot, dot. Then we need a binding for this text. So let's do at state
I'm not gonna
var.
lie. I mean, yeah, we share the same feeling. We both hate courses. I totally agree. But I'm just thinking along the lines of, well, if it gives you a job, then wow, then maybe I no, because see, I want to do Swift, but what does Google's one teach you? Google coding certificate. What is it actually? Is it online course for certificates? Let's see what it is. Turns out having an older sibling was a god at coding helps. Well, yeah, I can imagine. No, what? What? Get job ready skills with Google. Flexible online training programs. Are you kidding me? There's training in AI, like how to prompt it. Come on, man. Come on. That's just a distraction. That's just an absolute distraction. Google's been freaking in uh infiltrated, bro. Damn, Google UI devs are just flexing now. Oh yeah. Huh. True. Yeah, it's your turn to put that animation in. I mean, I've been interested in cybersecurity, but I want to UX design. I don't want to be a designer. I want to be a builder. Um, is that not provided here? Right, it's not provided. Okay, of course. Of course. Can you not code? I thought they had a coding one. Or is it just meta? Oh, hold on. Is it the Python one? I mean, is it the IT one? Hold up. Get started. Hey, is it Safari you're using? Yes, it is Safari. Thanks for noticing. I'm so well, troubleshooting and customer care. That's garbage. I know how to do all that. Networking, garbage for me. Probably garbage. Only these two might be useful to me, but what do you learn though? Like what? So this is generalized? I mean, maybe I could take this. Is this free? Oh yeah, it is. Holy shit. It's job readiness about 3 to 6 months. I mean, I could probably do this just for the certificate, you know? Just for the experience. But like I'm already learning Swift, you know? I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what to do. Like I guess I could just the thing is, I could continue Uber and Amazon, but like, I don't know. It's not as enjoyable as doing like IT stuff for me. So I live in India. It's a hub for free, actually, banger tutorials. I'd rather use. That's cool. Yeah, that's useful. Every course is free on Coursera. Oh, really? Okay. Outcomes. Professional level training. Demonstrate your technical proficiency. Earn an employer recognized certificate. Prepare for an industry certification exam. Technical support fundamentals. Are these just video courses? What do you learn here? Protocols. Wow, okay. Operating system you digital dark arts? Lame. I hate people who think they know how they should name things for people. Like, you can tell the people who organize the naming for this have nothing to do with the training. They are, yeah, they are. I mean, this is free though, and you get a certificate, so it's like not like it's not free. It's not like I'm paying something, you know. Accelerate your job search with AI. What? Keep your applications organized with Google Sheets? What's the point of that? Create certificate. Add this credential to your LinkedIn profile, resume. Oh, Python course 3 easy. I didn't even complete it halfway. Yeah, but did it give you a certificate though? That's my point. Like, wait, well, okay, we all know that certificates are not really worth that much. That's true. But like, is this one? I don't know why, but my brain thinks this one might be worth more. And no, okay, wait, it's not. You know what? I'm out of my mind here because it's not the certificate. It's the IT experience that you get for free, I think. But like, it's free as well. So like, it's the proper like professional stuff that you would use for a job. You know what I mean? I think that's the point. That's good about it. So like, if that's it starts August 20th. No, it just starts immediately, right? You just literally start watching the videos. I mean, I could just do this, watch the videos, and then like have the experience between in AI. It's not in AI, fuck, in IT. Look, IT automation with Python. Hold up. This teaches Python. Hello. Yeah, that's true. You will get some Python scripts. Use Git and GitHub version control. I've done that. Manage IT resources, scale, machines, virtual. Analyze real world IT problems and plan first. Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, I don't know. Like, the thing is, I go into this and then I'm like, well, now I'm out of Swift, right? I'm like out of the area that I wanted to be in. It's tempting though. It is tempting. No, that one's not for beginners. No. It's for people apparently who have completed this, the first one. So I don't know. I'll consider it. I'll think about it. And I should. Well, the thing that annoys me about Meta though is that it's Meta. But here we got front end developer professional certificate. This is pretty cool, but it's like, you know, not the languages that I want to learn. But then again, are these courses going to be good or shit? If it's free, you may as well try it though. Only 385,000 have enrolled in this, and this one has how many? Tons, right? Tons. 2 million people enrolled in this. I don't know. This IT one seems pretty good. Build websites as a career. Full stack developer here. You can learn full stack. Have you seen that? Yeah, I might take a Swift backend course, but the where is Apple when it comes to these things? Where's Apple's developer courses, huh? Why can't I join their courses? Training by us, recognized by the world. View course. Oh wait, what? Is this really it? Did I actually just find it? Wait, I no, I how about whoa, wait, what? No, no, no. Because this isn't fuck you, I kid. Oh, Swift data. Oh, hold on. Maybe this is it? Get started. 16 hours only? No. And this is all text-based as well. Jackpot, yeah. But wait, is this showing all back-end stuff too? Develop in Swift tutorials. Look, what's that? Develop in Swift? What is the difference here? Develop apps for Apple platforms. Learn the basics of Xcode, SwiftUI, and UIKit to create compelling apps. Develop in Swift tutorials. Introduce app development with Swift and Xcode for anyone learning how to develop for Apple platform. What's the? I'm pretty sure this is the one I've done a bit of, or have I not? I've done something. Natural language. This is wow. This is like that's kind of next level. Yeah, it's only text tutorials. I think like watch if I click this. If I click, let's say, so I click this. What is it? Yeah. See, it does it's weird. Like it's a text slash animated text thing. I've done a few of these, which aren't bad, but like it'd be nice if someone was like properly walking me through it. Look here. Oh, videos. Data essentials in Swift. Demystify SwiftUI. Meet async away. SwiftUI cookbook for navigation. Ooh, might need to watch that. Make your app visually accessible. Build accessible apps with SwiftUI. UI kit. That's a video. Modern cell configuration. Don't know what that is. Explore. Structure concurrency. Human interface guidelines. I mean, this is obviously the stuff that I need to look through, but like yeah, I feel like there's no real I don't know. I could go through it and see what happens. Why not? I'll go through that in my time coming up. What is this? Oh yeah, this is the other one. I'll have a look at that. I don't know. I can't remember which one I've done. Instrumental hip hop music. Cookbook for navigation. This is something I need to follow, so that's good. Build accessible apps. Discover how advancements in UI frameworks make it easier to build. I should probably watch that. It might be important for my app. I'm so discover new techniques. Configuration. Favoring collection view and table view cells quickly build dynamic interfaces in your app. I'm interested. Interested. Um, I do need that as well, and human interface guidelines is very important. So I might put that in my reading list, I guess. Reading list. Rid of Grok. Why do I have that there? Get rid of that. Okay. Well, we found some stuff, but like, is there a Swift dev course online? But there's no like, what is this? Full course Swift programming tutorial. No. Um, I thought there would be like a, yeah, like a, is there one on Coursera? Probably not, right? Probably not. Free trial. So I have courses on Udemy that I'm doing, so that's fine. Honestly, everyone needs to improve. That's one reason to hate app. Honestly, I'm glad you showed me these courses. Might have to choose between Meta, Full Stack, IBM. Yes. Reading the docs does not help. Good one though. Good one. I choose between Meta. I mean, Meta Full Stack doesn't sound too bad in the grand scheme of things. You know, the grand scheme of things. We can get rid of that. We can get rid of that as well. What do we get here? We get we get to implement programs using Python. Wait, boys, this sounds pretty basic, not gonna lie. Develop interactive front-end applications features using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and React. Build a functional Django web application incorporating databases, roots, and user authentication. Outcomes. Master subject or tool. Develop deep understanding of key concepts. Earn a career certificate from Meta. So the course is only 9,500 people have. This is in demand, boys. The job, I mean, not the course. Code YouTube channels, videos, Swift server-side programming. Oh, interesting. With Vapor? Okay, I'll look into that later. I'll just open the link to it, and I'm not gonna watch it right now. What is Swift? Why learn Swift? 5% learn Swift. How do you learn Swift? How to learn Swift? Is this free? Go on. No, it means nothing. It just has information about it. That's stupid. Learn Swift or MIT. App development online courses. Okay, go on. Yep, there is only two. Stupid Armit. So these are all, what are these? So Coursera is kind of like Udemy. Programming fundamentals in Swift. You'll gain Swift programming, Apple Xcode, blah 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 blah. iOS app development with Swift. Intermediate specialization. 3 to 6 months. But shitty reviews, wow. Um, Here's the Meta iOS developer course, which I would take if I wanted to learn um, React, but I don't. Oh, what the fuck is this? Damn it. Okay. Now I'm thinking maybe I should learn React. Use everything. C, Java, different things. Python. Yeah, maybe I should I mean I'm kind of oh yeah. How long is this course here? Does not say. 8 months at 7 hours a week. So obviously I do more than that. Testimonials? Not gonna lie, these look fake. They look AI generated. Oh wait, this is just for Coursera. It's not for the course. Can you not click the Oh, it's just okay, yeah, it's just numbers, whatever. It's just numbers. Just numbers. And how long does the other one take? Get out of here. Get out of here. Keep those. Here we go. Full stack. 8 months at 10 hours a week. Oh, it's roughly the same. Developers. Learn and master full stack web development. Master both front end and back end skills to build web apps end to end. That would open up my job opportunities, but like that's another 8 months. Maybe it wouldn't be 8 months since I know a bit about Swift. I don't know. It probably would, to be honest. Web design, database management, Bootstrap front end to end. Use commands, React. What does this one give you again? Views, roots, and I wonder if this like straight up gets you into a job compared to the other ones. And apparently this one, I mean, this is just IT though, not programming. It could be IT. Oh, this is so basic. What? It's so basic. Yeah, certification. Going. Going. No, no, no. It's not about the certification. No, no. It's not about that. Yeah, yeah, of course. More than 10 hours. No, I'm not gonna get the certificate. It's not about the certification. It's about the it's about what it gives you, like in terms of training, like for free, which is really good. But yeah, I think I'm just having those, those doubts like, oh fuck, I'm not gonna get a job at this rate. Should I do something else? Those always come, right? You always get those doubts. I'll be right back. I need to get a drink. I'm I'm gonna make a coffee, so just and it's hard at night. Oh, yeah. Hey, bro, what degree do you have? I have a bachelor's degree in science. Why is that? I'm dealing with a breakup. She cheated on me after more than 5 years. What should I do? Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that. It's happened to me too. Not after 5 years. That is a while. Huh. Um, I got cheated on after 2 years, one time. Or was it after 2 years? It was after. It was kind of. Oh wait, sorry. Yeah, I kind of had. It was 1.5 years, I think, and like we were together for 2 years, so obviously I like let it go, I guess, for a bit, and I stayed with her, but like that was my fear at the time of there was a fear I had of like being alone, so I was like, oh, that's okay, like, but I noticed when she told me, like, a couple things happened. It was weird. Like, first of all, I didn't really feel anything, and maybe it just didn't hit me at the moment. I don't know. But when she told me, I didn't really feel anything. Like I didn't care almost. And then shortly after that, I actually went to the Maldives on a volunteer project. Um and that was away from her, and I was like, well, I realized like, oh, I actually don't like think about her a lot or want, you know. You know when you're away from someone, you realize whether you actually want to be with them or not sometimes. It was kind of like that. So I took some time away, basically, not on purpose, because, I didn't have the mindset to do that. But like I wanted to go and do this thing in the Maldives because that was my passion. It's still part of my passion. Um and being away, I was like, wow, I actually don't Don't think about her that much. I didn't really want to call her that much. And also there was this thing with like um actually I don't really want to talk about this part. Just know there was something else that like led me to break up with her. So I ended up breaking up with her. But programming joke jabs. You literally made the joke jab yourself. Yeah, so I ended up breaking up with her. But it was and the other thing is like coming back to the whole cheating thing. It was like a three-pronged thing. First of all, the thing that I don't want to talk about. Secondly, the not caring basically or not being interested to talk to her while I was away. And the third thing I think was just that like I was thinking about it and like you can't really like trust them after that. You can't really like how do you trust them if they're going to do that after 5 years? Like what happens if another 5 years they do it again? What happens if another 1 year they do it again? 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Just wait there guys, I'm just making some coffee. Fuck. I kicked my foot on the table. Oh, I should get a kitchen cam. I'm obsessed with this peanut butter coffee. It's so freaking good. Oh my god, it smells like roasted peanuts. It's so good. That's crazy how good this smells. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but it's so good. So good. Oh, I gotta get some. Actually, no. Never mind. Almost done. All right. I'm done. I'm back. Oh. She cheated on me with my own friend. I was in a long distance relationship, bro. I had a dream of marrying her, but everything got destroyed. Sorry, man. Sorry to hear that. Yes, I'll answer your question in a second, Aniket. Bro, my suggestion for you is one, start meditating. Start breathing more. I promise you, you will get over it by doing that. And you'll forget about her. Two, you should be forgetting about her. That's the what you should be doing. Um like I don't know, that's my opinion. Like, don't take my advice because this is a 5-year relationship. I don't know what to do. I've never been in a 5-year relationship, so I can't imagine what you guys might have together. But for my 2-year one, that's what I did. I went inward, learned a lot about myself, realized it just that moment wasn't for me. She wasn't for me at that time. And yeah, it just got better. Opportunities to take with Swift. Dude, I don't know. I think I'm just gonna stick with Swift, Aniket, because I've done so much in it. I'm just gonna try and become the best Swift developer that I can. No worries, brother. I feel like I can't really help you that much, to be honest. But like, yeah, I think worst case, best, not worst or best case, but like, I think at least perhaps the number one thing you could do, which I figured out, is start meditating and looking inward to understand why everything happens. Like, why did this happen? Like, try and understand how it happened. But you don't need to go outward for this. Ask yourself. Like, think about it. Consider it. Like, for example, why? Let's use me an example. Why would she cheat on me? Why? Like, I would try and think about it. Like, why would she cheat on me? What are the reasons? What are the triggers? What about her thought process? Exactly, Aniket. Exactly. Yeah, I want to. That's why I have to go through everything. I have to go through all the tutorials that Apple provides too. Sorry, I like talking about this like self-development stuff as well. That's why I'm kind of like off topic at the moment. But yeah, like think about like what their think about get in their shoes. What is their thought process? I think that really helps to understand because once you understand why they did it or what's going on with that person, you can be more understanding about them and you can accept that that perhaps almost even happened for a reason. Like, can you imagine if it went another 5 years and it was 10 years and she cheated? Like, the positive thing is you found out only 5 years in rather than 40. You know what I mean? So, like, look at the positives, look at why it might have happened, look at your surroundings. You got to take everything in. All right? It's going to help you a lot. I promise you. That's it. That's how I got over my anxiety. I kind of still have a little bit of anxiety of being alone, but I got over most of it by learning about, funnily enough, how I learned about how anxiety works, and I learned about like the different types of people that have these different types of anxiety disorders, I guess, if that makes sense. And literally once I understood how everyone worked in these different categories, I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, I get it. I get you. I get you. I get you. That's totally fine. That's how you're built. So you have no thoughts. You have no negative thoughts." React Native is like dating a multitasker. Fuck, I am dating a multitasker. Swift is the loyal OG. Either way, just don't forget to debug your life first. Do I want to say weirdly well said with that? All right, let's get back to learning Swift. Yo, guys, we've popped over 1,200 subscribers now. That's crazy. Thanks for all the love, everyone. Thanks for all the subs. Subs. I'm surprised we have so many people here who want to learn with me. Or watch me learn, I don't know. Obviously, I know why some of you are here. Because I've talked to you. All right. When are the brand deals coming in, huh? Wait for these brand deals to pop in. Apparently, you get more brand deals when you have more subscribers. So, everyone, please subscribe. Thank you very much. You know what? I don't know. Like, I might look into this course and just see what's there, just in my own time later. Just to see what it envelops and stuff. Like, cause I do see React Native as a huge um job market. Like, it's massive. Like, everyone wants it, but then everyone's doing it as well. That's the thing. So, um, I think as long as my projects personally are in Swift, then I'm happy. If I'm working with someone else's dog shit product, don't quote me on that, please. Don't send that to his employer that I said that. Um, what do I want to say? Um, the what is the word? The oh fuck! Oh my god! I'm literally mind blanking right now. The con. Oh my god! Holy shit! What is the word? What is the word that I'm thinking of? It's on the tip of my tongue. It's like when you relate the reason you relate the relation to something else. Please email Apple. Yeah, I'd love for them to sponsor me. I mean, like, okay, if some obviously I think anyone else's product is dog shit if it's not built natively. So that's the just the relation to why I said that. If any of you potential employers are watching, I'm not afraid to say what I think. But yeah, as long as my products are built in Swift, I think I'm happy. Because if I'm working on someone else's stuff, it doesn't really matter, I guess. Because it's not mine. It's not about me. It's just me earning some money, you know. Coming to terms with the harsh realities is sucks sometimes. But yeah, I'll look into it. I'll just see what it's like. If I really hate it, I'm not gonna do it. This maybe because I was considering doing IT while I study for Swift, even though I obviously have to do a little bit of learning for IT, but I'm pretty good with IT already, so yeah. Anyway, let's get back to learning this.
Text field, text of type string equals blank string for now. The text, let's bind it with the money sign text field text. And let's try again to see if it pops up on our screen. Okay, below it, let's add a button. Open the parentheses, let's use the action and label.
Button moit.
And I'm moving a little faster because we've done this so many times throughout this course. Let's do a little bit of formatting now. So this button, let's give it a font of headline. Let's give it a background color of color.
Seeing all this code in from 4 years ago, it looks so gross compared to the new Xcode.
Maybe we'll do a color literal. We haven't done those in a while. Double click that color literal.
No one even ever uses color
Let's get a
literals
cool color going.
either.
I'm gonna open the crayons and maybe we'll use this blue. Looks kind of cool. Well, let's do a darker blue. Cool. Let's give this a foreground color of white, so white text. Let's give this a
trying to quit
frame.
some
I'm doing this before we add the background. So
other
frame of max width of infinity.
things here.
Let's give it a frame with a width with a height of 55. Looking better. Let's give it a dot corner radius of 10.
This doesn't really matter. He's just building
And
the
on
UI
button,
out.
let's just add some padding of horizontal. Cool. Let's edit the text field quickly. Let's give it a dot background. Let's give it a color literal. Double click color literal, and I like to use this mercury color for text fields. I think it's a nice off-white. Let's make it the same size. I'm going to copy the frame and the width here. Put that before the background. Let's also
Crayons, yep. We get crayon access, boy.
And let's give it a padding of horizontal. Let's also give it a corner radius, sorry.
Oh.
Background. And it's looking pretty good. Let's add a little bit of indentation here before the word add. So before we add the frames, let's just add a dot padding, dot leading. It adds a little bit of padding right in there, and this looks pretty good. And now when we click this button, we want to, of course, add fruits. So in this button, let's add...
He built this button out for, like, almost no reason. Because, like, all we need to know is how to... No disrespect to this guy, because he's, like, a genius, and I love him. But, like, he always does this. He builds out a button. He builds out a thing. And all you need to do is, like, show us how it works, not, like, make it look super nice.
Item.
It's just funny.
Let's change this to
look at that. He just all he did was add the add item. He added all that stuff, made it like perfect. I really appreciate this guy making this. I'm just saying. It's so funny sometimes.
This is looking pretty good. We are not using this add item on the...
Forsaking React and switching to Swift just for crayons. Please do it. I need another person doing... See, Sasha that always comes on here, who is a cool guy in Discord. He, like, does really low-level programming, so it's cool what he's doing, but I cannot, like, you know, really vibe with him super well, because it's not, like, a one-to-one, like, he's more of a genius than me. He's way more of a genius than me. But please, if you swap, we can, like, chat about our UI problems and our, like, tiny backend issues and crayons.
top right anymore. So let's get rid of that trailing bar items. Cool. And lastly, in our add item function, instead of using the word orange, let's just use the text that's in the text field. So here we'll just put text field text. And then after we use the text field text, we want to reset it. So down here, after we click save, let's just call text field text equals blank string. Now in my app here, let's reload it just to make sure we are all connected. And now that we have our app, I think it is ready to actually test on a device. So I'm going to make sure we're on the iPhone 12, and let's run this on an actual simulator and see if it works. Alright, when my app loads now, we have a blank canvas, and that's because...
By the way, I'm going to need to be working a lot more soon. I'll probably have to work like a few more hours in the day doing Uber. Just because I need to make some more money.
Loading that preview like we've been doing with all those fake apples. Because in the content view, when we're on
Hopefully
the
I can get a job though, like a different,
but now we're loading
some
sort
sort of
container in our app, and it doesn't have anything saved yet.
IT related job.
Why it's blank. So let's go ahead and add some fruits. Let's do apple, and it works. Orange, and that works. And remember, we have ascending is false, so I actually want to make it ascending. So let's put that as true. Let's run the simulator one more time.
Oh my god, his computer is
and you'll notice that when we
blasting
our app,
off to space.
Saved this data in core data and then pulled it back from core data. So these will save forever, and this is very efficient.
Let's
if you actually want to put an app into the App Store, this is a great place to save a ton of data. So we can add watermelon.
Next minute, I'm begrudgingly in React.
The list. If we add another one, maybe banana, you'll see that it goes right in alphabetical order. We can, of course, also delete items, and if we delete the items, they will persist. So
wait, but you're not using React as much right now, are you? I thought you weren't. You were using, like, just web stuff.
App here, and then restart it, and it will load the exact same data. All right, and the very last thing I want to show you guys, which I just realized, is that some of you are going to ask, how to update items. So we have adding items, we have deleting items, we are getting items through the fetch request, but we are not updating items
Okay,
anywhere.
this
So let's
video
create
is
a quick
actually
little function. Let's put it
unnecessary.
after whatever
So
variables we
let's
want,
go to
and
the
then click
next
save.
one.
And when we delete, we just need to find the entity and then delete it from the
How to use
context and
core
then click save.
data with
And our save
MVVM
is very simple. It's just a
architecture.
do view context.save. All right, guys.
This may or may not be interesting. I don't know. Uh, I mean, are you actually using React right now?
Welcome back, everyone. Video, we're going to add all view model, and basically the ID code for the view model, which should handle all of that, is great. And in the last video in this series, I covered adding core data to your SwiftUI app using a fetch request. And while that is great, the problem with that is that the fetch request requires us to add all of the logic for core data into our view. And as you saw in the last example, a little more on the iPhone that we can use to save information to. That's enough of me talking. Let's jump in. So I'm going to jump back into our. Okay, welcome back, everyone. I am back in our original Xcode project. So the last video we created a new project, but I'm going to right-click the navigator and just create a new file. This will be a SwiftUI view. We're going to call it Core Data Bootcamp. Go ahead and click Create. Once you're inside, let's click Resume on the canvas.
Oh yeah, okay.
I'm going to leave the navigator open for a second because we are going to use it.
And do you have to have like that whole Expo thing installed or whatever? Or is that just for apps? Is that just for like phone apps and shit? Because I have no idea how React like meshes with web apps.
I do want to mention, if you're just joining,
I think I know how. I think it uses Expo for like phone apps or something.
that in the last video in the series, I covered core data by using a fetch request. And I view the fetch request kind of as the beginner introductory way to get core data into your app, because it does make it really easy to get the data into the view, but in an actual production app, it's kind of not realistic to put all of that logic into the view. So instead of putting all of that logic into the view, we can extract it into a view model, and this drives us into MVVM architecture. So real quick, for anyone who's never done MVVM before, and if you haven't, I recommend checking out the SwiftUI to-do list, which is a playlist on my YouTube channel where we actually make a beginner level MVVM app. But real simple, there's three layers. We have the view, which is the UI. We have the model, which is sort of like a data point. And then we have the view model. And this, I would say, manages the data.
Ooh, one sec. Let me just check something here. Oh, I have some emails. Why do I not get notifications for my emails? I don't understand. Huh? Wow. Okay. Just wanted to do a reply to something here. And what's going on with my mail? Probably pointless shit. React can make web apps or mobile apps. React Native does. Oh, right. So, but it's still connected, right? Is React Native related? Very related. Okay.
for a view. So behind the view is actually
I heard recently that MVVM is not that useful at all in Swift apps.
a view model that holds all of the data, and that data is going to be a bunch of models. All right.
My coffee's kind of cold, bro. It must be so cold in here because it my coffee's already cold. Holy shit! It's so rainy outside too. So rainy. But the fun thing is, there's a Tesla Model Y downstairs, and I wish I had it.
Let's get started before I bore you guys because I know I've covered all of this before. Let's create a class. We're going to call it core data view model. Let's make it conform to observable object and go ahead and open the brackets.
What
We're
do you
making it
say?
view model.
Observable?
Let's make it conform to observable object and go ahead and open the brackets. We're
Observable?
making it conform to observable object so that we can observe it from our view. So let's initialize a new one in our view. We'll create an @state object.
We
Var.
gotta use
We'll
classes.
call it VM for view model, and we'll set it equal to
Do
a
you have
new core
classes
data
and
view
structs
model.
in
Open close parentheses.
in
And let's start setting up our core data.
React?
So first we need to import core data at the top. So if you watch my last video, most of the logic right now is going to be very similar because the template logic that Apple gave us is basically what we need to recreate here. So inside this, we're going to create an init, open close the parentheses, open the brackets. And the first thing we need to set up is our container. So we'll say let container of type ns persistent container. So now we need to
Does it really slow down that much when you import a bunch of stuff?
set this up in our init. And if we don't, Xcode actually gives us an error returning from initializer without initializing all stored properties. Basically means we're finishing our init without setting up the container. So let's call container equals a new ns persistent container, open the parentheses, and we're going to use the completion with the name. Now we haven't made the container yet, so let's just leave the name as a blank string for a second. And then after we get our container, we need to call container.loadPersistentStores. This just loads basically all the data from the container. Let's click enter on the
Oh my
handler.
god, this
I'll make
is
this a little bigger
way
for a
more
second.
complicated than
This is going to return ns
and
persistent store
unnecessary compared to
description
Swift
and an error.
data.
Let's call this
Holy
description,
moly.
and let's call this error. And we're not going to really use either of these, but if there's an error, let's print it out so that we get a little indication that maybe there's a problem loading the stores.
I mean,
So
it's
we'll
not
say
super complicated, but at the same time, it's like just so much unnecessary stuff.
if let error equals error, and we will print error loading.
Is there any? I think there's like 24 people watching right now. Is there anyone here who's actually learning Swift, or are you all doing something different?
Core data.
Sorry, my friend's calling me 1 sec. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had a call and I took the liberty of taking that time to actually go and like go to the toilet, brush my teeth as well, refresh myself a little bit while I chatted to him. So yeah. So yeah, I don't know why there's no sound on my video though. That's weird. Turn off this. All right, let's go. Let's continue this shiz.
Data, and then let's just do the backslash
Oh, hold on, I can't hear that.
open close parentheses and print out.
Hello, brother. Brother, please connect me to my headphones here.
The error. So if there's an error,
It's coming through. You go to Bluetooth. There we
here
go.
we can just print it out. And that's all the logic we need to load
Cool.
up core data. That's so simple and so short. It's awesome. But of course, we didn't set up this container yet, so let's do that now. And to do that, we're going to right-click the navigator, create a new file. So if we scroll down, there's a core data section. And in the core data section, we're going to click on the data model and click next. And then we can call it whatever we want.
Do I have a Swift data
This is
model?
the name of our container. So I'm going to call this fruits container. Fruits container. Let's click create.
Hold on, I have Xcode open here. I just want to check that. New test unit test. Swift testing unit test. Core data. Documentation. Resource. Playground. Other. Oh no, I don't. Wait. No. Wait. No. Nope. Don't have it. Guess I don't need it.
And you can see here that the fruits container, it says fruits container over here on the left. And then we're in this container. And all we need to do here is add our data model. So basically it's going to be one entity. So we're going to add an entity. And we can name the entity. We're going to name
So this is, I've never done
we're
this.
going to name this fruit entity.
This part.
And click
I
enter.
guess it's,
You don't need
you
to
have to
include
do
the
it
word
in
entity
here
at
in
the
core
end, but I
data.
like to, just so that we know this is a core data entity. And this model, we can give it a bunch of attributes, just like we do any other model in our app. And we're going to give it one very simple attribute. So let's press add item. We're going to say name. And we're going to set the name to be a string. Now again, if you wanted to save a bunch of data for one entity, so if a fruit had some other attributes, you could add them here by pressing the plus, setting up all of the types. And as I mentioned in the last video,
Thank you.
in core data, I would definitely try to stick to saving the types that you see here. So dates, boolean, strings, floats, doubles. You'll notice here that it does not say images because you cannot save
I was
an
sorting
image
myself out as
or an
well.
audio file or a video file directly
Went to toilet, brushed my
to
teeth
core
and
data.
stuff.
Now you could convert
I do need to eat
into
some
binary
food
data and then save it
before leaving or later today
into
though.
core data, but that's not necessarily the recommended approach, so I don't want to tell you guys to do that. I'm going to cover saving images in a future video in this course, but I would recommend trying to stick to the types that you do see here. I'm just going to keep the name with a string, so for this attribute, I'm just going to remove it with the minus sign here. So a fruit entity, and our fruit entity only has a name and it's a string. So now that we have this, let's just jump back into the core data bootcamp. We have our NS persistence container, and the name, we can see it right here, is the fruits container. So if you create a different data model, the name would be right here, .exe data model. So let's say fruits container.
And do this here.
Make sure this is exactly as it is here, word for word, and it might even be case sensitive, so just make sure you have this string correct. And right now, if we don't get an error, let's just say else, and let's print successfully loaded core data. So with this right now, we should be able to figure out if we at least set up core data correctly or not. So let's take the core data bootcamp.
What do you do with the description though?
The app.swift file. Let's make this core data bootcamp the first view in our app, and let's run it on a simulator to see what prints out. All right, I loaded my screen and I got the printouts of the console successfully loaded core data. So if you're following along and you got this error loading core data, chances are you spelled the name wrong here. This NS persistence container name needs to match the container exactly. So now that we got this container set up, we can actually create a fetch request to get the data from the container. So underneath this init, and I'll zoom out here because I see this a little big. Let's create a func. We'll call it fetch fruits, open close parentheses, open the brackets. And in the last video, we used @fetch request. And now because we're not in a view, we can't use that @fetch request property wrapper, but we can still create a fetch request. So we'll say let request equals ns fetch request, open the parentheses, and we're gonna go down to the entity name. And the entity name needs to be exactly what we set up in our container. So if I open the container, my entity name is fruit entity. So make sure you're doing this exactly as well. Make sure it's exactly letter for letter, and it might even be case
Fruit
sensitive. I'm not
entity
sure.
sounds so
So
ominous,
mine
doesn't
is
it?
fruit entity. I'm gonna get one more.
Fruit entity. Oh my god, that's a fruit entity. I can't even say it.
That the
Entity?
generic parameter result type could not be inferred. Now, I haven't covered generics in my courses. I'm actually doing that later in this series. But for now, basically, this NHFetch request wants to
I
know
need to
what
know
kind of entity
generics, I
this
think.
entity is.
I've heard
What should we
generics are
expect?
good.
So all we need to do is use the less than sign and the greater than sign. And inside these two signs, we will add the fruit entity. And my Xcode cannot find fruit entity in scope. I'm just going to X out Xcode and reload it, and I think that will fix it. We'll find out in a second. So I literally just reloaded Xcode, and now it is green, so it found the fruit entity. Sometimes when you're adding these coordinated entities, the indexing just gets a little messed up. Just a reload Xcode, and it should work. Now that we have our request, we can actually call it. So we'll say container, which is our container that we created up here. And we will say .viewContext.fetch. And we're going to use the result that throws. And obviously the request of type NSFetchRequest is going to be our request that we set up. You saw that this call can throw, so we need to mark it with try. So we'll say do. We'll put all of our do statements in here. And then we'll say catch, let error, open the brackets. And in this catch, we'll just say print error fetching. And then I will do a backslash, open close parentheses, and then print out the error. And I kind of am doing this on purpose because Xcode gives us all of these really cool hints on how to write our code if we get lost, if we get stuck and something's not working. So now I did my do and catch statement, and I'm getting a error message here that the call can throw but is not marked with try. So all we need to do is add the word try in front of it. And I can even just click this fix to make it say try. And that's awesome. And even farther, now Xcode is telling us the result of this call, this line, is not being used. And that's because we haven't saved it anywhere. So where are we going to put it when we actually fetch this data? So at the top of our view model, let's create an @published var. Let's call it saved entities. And this will be of type, and it'll be an array of fruit entity. And we'll set it equal to a blank array for now. And we're just going to say saved entities equals try.container fetch. All right, so it's going to create the fetch request, try to fetch from the container.
Why would he call it
and
saved entities and not just fruit entity?
So after the load persistent stores, we will call
That's weird.
fetch fruits. And I think it should work. I don't think we need to put it into the closure here. We'll find out in a second anyway. I'm going to delete this else because we already know that it's set up successfully. We have a function to fetch, but we haven't actually added any fruits. So let's create another func, add fruit, open close parentheses, open the brackets. When we add a fruit, we need the name, so we'll say text of type string. And just like in the last video, when you add something, you basically just need to create a fruit entity, give it some data, and then save. So we'll say let new fruit equals fruit entity, open the parentheses. I'm going to use the context here, and we're going to enter it into the container.viewContext. It's the same container that we've been using this whole time. Now this is a blank fruit, and we need to add some data. So we'll say new fruit.name, which is the variable we gave it, and we'll set it equal to the text that we're passing into this function. And then we very simply need to call save. So I'm going to create a function for the save because we're going to reuse it. We'll say func save data, open close parentheses, open the brackets. And this will be very simple. We'll call container.viewContext.save. And just like before, this call can throw, and it's not marked with try. So we can add the do, open the brackets, put our calls inside. We'll mark it with try, and we'll catch the errors, and we'll say let error, and we will print error saving. Backslash, open close parentheses, and we'll print out the error here. And if we do save this successfully, in the last video, we used an @fetch request, which every time the data was saved, it automatically updated.
Hey learner, what's up?
But now our data on our view is actually going to be linked to this published variable. So every time we click save, we need to re-update this published variable. And the simplest way to do it right now is to just call fetch fruits again, because when we call fetch fruits, it creates that fetch request, and then it sets our saved entities equal to that whole request. So if we added a fruit and then called this again, the new fetch request would include that new fruit. So after we click save here, we'll just call fetch fruits. And then, of course, at the end of add fruit, we'll call save data. All right, that was a lot of code. Let's get the UI set up and then actually test this out. So I'm down in our view here. I'm going to open up the canvas quick.
It wasn't too crazy
So
though.
let's create a navigation view. Inside, we'll add a
The
V
code
stack
wasn't too
with
crazy
spacing
there.
of 20. I'm going to move faster here because if you've been following my courses, this should all be
Blah,
super
blah,
stacked.
blah.
We're going to call it
Making the
var,
view.
field text. Let's give this let's make it a color Mercury.
Blah, blah, blah.
So far. All right, so I got my fruit
Sorry,
stack.
Nick.
And for now, I'm just going to add a spacer to push it up. Leading to get the little action and label. And if you want, let's make the button text font.
He's doing the view again. The setup
frame.
view.
All right, let's give it a corner.
Ooh, I love that color though.
So that it matches. Beautiful.
Thanks,
So in the
bro.
button, we're going to say vm.addFruit. Remember, VM is the view model that we set up here. And we will pass in the text field text. Now this text field text starts as a blank string, so I just want to make sure that it has at least one character. So we're going to say guard text field text dot is empty, else return. And we're going to say, we're going to use the exclamation point to make sure that it is not empty. So we're going to say this is empty and then this is not. So make sure it's not empty, and if it's not empty, we will add the text field text, and then we will set the text field text equal to a blank string, so it reverts
In
back.
that section, I put another function in there.
Okay, and then lastly, let's just add a list underneath this button. So I'm going to get rid of the spacer. I'm going to add a list. Open the first completion here. This is the array that we made before. We're going to click enter on the content, and this will just entity.name, and it's optional. So if there is no entity name, let's do the double question marks, and we'll just say no name. All of our fruits have names, so we're not going to run into this error anyway. All right, I think that's it for coding.
Lurk. I need to go. Click submit. All right. Good luck.
Right now, that was a lot of coding. I hope you're still with me. Let's click play on the simulator and see if it works. All right, button, which we should make say save. And I will click the button and edit our apple. Let's also change the list so it doesn't look
This is
ugly.
button.
On the list, let's add a .list style, and we'll do plain list style, open close the parentheses. So this should look better as well. Let's rerun the app one more time. All right, our button should say save. The list looks a little better. It says apple. I can add another orange. You notice that the apple saved between sessions because it was saving to core data and then loading in core data. So if we kill this app, and like we did in the last video, on delete, sorry, we can perform an action with an index set. So I'm going to just create that function up in our view model, fruit. Let's pass in an index. Let's just call this from our view. So going back down, I'm going to get rid of this brackets here, and we're just going to call vm.deleteFruit. And it already has our index set here, but we don't even need that. So I can just delete this index set, and our super short code now says vm.deleteFruit. And just by adding that to our code, if I rerun it, this is how cool the for each in a list is. This on delete automatically adds the swipe to delete, which is so handy. But if we click it, obviously it doesn't delete yet because we haven't added that code. So back in our function to delete fruit, we need to find the entity.
It don't do anything.
So an index set could have a bunch of indices, but we know when we're swiping this that it's really just one. So let's just say
You gotta find that.
Index equals index set dot first. And this is optional, so we'll say guard let index equals index set first, else return. And then we'll say let entity equals saved entities, and we'll access the index. So this is our entity, and then we just need to call container.viewContent.
So make sure that there's an index at that point, and then create index. Then make a new variable called entity that is equal to saved entities at the index where that's occurring.
Text.delete, and we can pass in our entity. Now, just like when we added our fruit, and then we had to click save, and now we are deleting our fruit, and then we have to click save. So this is why we created our own function here, because we can just call save data again. And lastly, I want to create a function so that when we click on this word apple, we can update it. Now, we're not going to add custom UI for updating, but really simply, when we click on apple, we're going to add an exclamation point to this word apple. So let's create a func update fruit. We're going to open close parentheses and open the brackets.
Define the index again.
From in our view
here.
And I just want to point out that this on delete gave us an index set, and that's why we use an index set.
One sec, I need to charge my watch. Make sure it's charged for the day. Serving it up Gary's way. I also have to charge my freaking car.
Add an on tap gesture here onto the actual text. We can use the entity directly, so we don't even need to deal with the indexes. So when I create this update fruit, we're just going to pass in the entity directly, and it will be a fruit entity. So let's call that back in our tap gesture. We'll call vm.update fruit, and we'll pass in the entity. All right, let's finish up the code here. In our update fruit, all we need to do is take the entity and modify some of its variables. And we only have one variable, which is the name. So let's say let current name equals entity.name. And this is optional, as we know. So let's just do the double question marks, and let's just leave it a blank string if there is no name. We'll say let new name equals the current name plus an exclamation point. And then we'll set the entity.name equal to the new name. And just like we did when we delete and when we add, we need to then call save data. It's that simple. Let's click play to rerun our app.
That was simple.
And I hope this works. We have the ability to add fruits, watermelon. We have the ability to delete fruits. and we can update fruits. When we click on them, it'll add the exclamation point. And if I
Oh,
close the app and reopen the app, it should now save in that state. All right, guys, so there's a lot of code today and a lot going on in this video, but what I really want to point out here with this MVVM method is that in our view, which is the Core Data Bootcamp view here, we don't have any logic that is dealing with downloading data, updating data, saving data. All we have is a reference to the view model right here. And when we go to call something to change the data, like adding a fruit, we call view model and then add fruit, and then all of the logic for adding a fruit is in that function. Just like when we call update fruit or delete fruit, all of that logic is in the view model. So our view here is dedicated to the actual UI. This is just dealing with the front end of the UI, and every time we need to actually access or change the data,
this is going
that's
to
all being
apply
done
a
in the view
lot
model.
when I work for a company, but it's not going to apply so much if I work
So
for
in our view
myself
model, we
because
have
I could
all of
probably
this
just like throw shit into the same view.
logic up here, which is, as you can see, is actually a lot of logic. And this is a pretty simple app. So when you have more complex data, this logic will get much, much longer. And that's why it's important to separate the different layers in your app.
I think thank God they made Swift Data much more simpler because there could be so much more text in here. Oh
So in
my
this core
God.
data
Where's all this? This is videos, develop apps. What the fuck? Should I be showing me?
view model, we have all the logic for updating this data, downloading the data, saving the data, etc. So I hope you guys
All right. Now that we've done that, let's move on to the one that I really wanted to watch, which is actually a whole freaking hour long. Fuck. All right, I need to get some food probably for this one.
All right, welcome back everyone. My name is Nick. This channel is Swiftful Thinking, where we cover all things Swift, SwiftUI related. And in this video, we're going to take a little more of an advanced look at core data, and we're going to set up our data models in core data so that they have relations, so that they can connect and interact with each other. Now, before we begin, I want to
This
point out
is
that you
what I
should
need to
have a
know.
basic understanding of core data before we work on this. So if you don't, the last two videos in this series, I covered and introduced core data. So definitely watch those first, and then come
Thumbs
on
up.
back to
Thank you
this.
for
And I also
freaking
want to point
covering
out
this.
that most of the
And are there generics in here in this type aliases? Escaping. I need to go over again probably. Uh, no, he didn't put generics in here. Let's see, YouTube, Swift, full thinking generics. Oh, he did. He put it in advanced learning, so we'll do that later. Fuck, I don't want that video to activate over there.
time, at least in my experience, when we're using core data in our apps, we very simply are just saving data, we are maybe updating and then getting data, but there's no complex relations that we really need to worry about. So in a lot of cases, the last two videos is everything you need to know about core data. However, sometimes as you start building more complex apps, you're going to want to add relations between the entities. And that's what this video is. So for those of you who are watching this entire playlist through, if there's one video to skip, it's probably this one, because what we're learning is really good to know, but it's not necessarily required and not something you're definitely going to use very often.
So
And
you
that's
can
what this
skip
video
this,
is. So for those
basically?
of you who are watching this entire playlist through, if there's one video to skip, it's probably this one, because what we're learning is really good to know, but it's not necessarily required and not something you're definitely going to use very often. But if you're interested, what we're going to do is really cool. We're going to take a very simple example and create three entities in our app. We're going to create businesses, departments, and employees. And all three entities are going to be related. So a business will have a bunch of different departments, and a business will also have a bunch of different employees. And the reverse will also be true. So a employee will be part of a business, and an employee will be part of a department. So when we set these up in core data, it becomes super efficient as an app developer, because all of these entities will always be relating to each other and they will always stay in sync, which is awesome. The last thing I want to mention is that to actually build out the entire UI to update businesses, employees, departments would probably take a very long time. It's basically building an entire application. So in this video, I decided we're just going to build a mock UI, and we're just going to play around by changing some of the inputs. So it's not going to be a full app, but I felt that this was the best and easiest way to run through all of these different examples so that you guys could get a real hands-on look on what's going on behind the scenes. All right, so those of you who are still here, thank you for listening. I admire your determination to learn this core data stuff. It's really cool. I'm excited. Hope you're excited. Let's jump into Xcode and take a look.
All right, I have to make some food. I have to eat. So I'm actually going to put on a video that I want to watch while I'm cooking, but like you guys can watch it too if you want. It's a couple different I have a couple different videos here. One's called My First Year as a Full-Time Indie iOS App Developer. So I wanted to check that out first. I don't know if it's going to be good or not, but yeah, I haven't seen it. So
it's been
bear with me. I'm just going to drag this into the thing here.
This is ultimate guide to get from 0 to 5K in App Store sales. So put your...
Shush. I've got 2 videos here we can have a look at. Actually 3.
All right, how are we doing?
Ignore that one. That's a different video. Sorry, 2 videos, not 3. So let's take a quick look at this. Save this video for later. Get rid of that. We'll look at this one here because I want to see this one. So I'm just gonna have a look at this, and I won't be on screen because I'll be... Oh, I could be on screen. I just have to turn my camera around. Hold on a sec. Probably see me over here. Give me 1 sec. I'm just organizing some stuff on the table. Table organization. French accent. All right. Here we go. We're going to whip you around. Whew. Okay, my cable doesn't go that far. Hold on. It will. Here we go. Perfect. Now, yeah, should be fine. All right, what can you see? Can you guys see anything? You'll see me in the kitchen here. Is that good enough? I'll put it down just a little bit because you're like staring at the ceiling, I realize. You see the table there, top of the table, that's fine, right? There you go. It should be good. Now let's watch this video. I'll just listen to this while I cook. Interested. 1 hour long video? What the fuck? Well, we're obviously not watching the whole thing.
About
then.
1 year since I quit my job and went full-time as a
Maybe
solo indie app developer. And I made a video about that last year. If you want to watch, I'll link that. I don't know what side it goes on, but it'll be linked. It's been a very interesting year. And in this video, I kind of wanted to just reflect on how the year's gone. You know, what's been the good stuff, the bad stuff, some things I've learned. And I actually have a ton of questions that I kind of put something out on social media to see if people had questions. And there was a lot of questions, so I'm going to answer those in this video too. So if you're interested in how my first year has gone as a solo indie app developer, then keep watching. Some really quick context if you've never watched any of my videos before. So my name is Sean. I'm an app developer. I work on an app called Sofa, which helps you to be more intentional with your downtime.
This is indie iOS app developing.
Of books you want to read, movies to watch, video games to play, all that kind of stuff. And on this channel, I tend to kind of just document my process and my journey.
Hold on, so what did he say he's working on?
Any of my videos before. So my name is Sean. I'm an app developer. I work on an app called Sofa, which helps you to be more intentional with your downtime. You can make a list of books you want to read, movies to watch, video games to play, all that kind of stuff. And on this channel, I tend to kind of just document my process and my journey with being an indie app developer and making my app. So if you like that kind of stuff, then stick around or maybe subscribe. All right, so let's talk about the good stuff. And honestly, most of the stuff is good. And what I'm about to say, it's not really in any particular order.
This audio, it sounds like a robot or something.
Just kind of as I'm thinking of it. But I do genuinely love what I do. The fact that I get to wake up every day and focus and think about and work on the things that I want to work on without someone above me kind of giving me orders and work to do and direction and stuff like that, it's something that I've wanted for a really, really long time. And the fact that I get to do that every day, and that's basically been the past year for me, has been amazing, and not something that I definitely don't take it for granted, because for most of my life I've worked for other people, and you know, being able to literally work on the things that I want to work on, or that I think are important or worth spending time on and worth thinking about, it's amazing, and it's probably one of my favorite things.
I swear his blinker was on for like 200 years.
The next thing is time flexibility. And, you know, right now I'm out, I have to run an errand, and what time is it? It's almost 11 on a Tuesday. And yeah, just run the errand. Not a big deal. I don't have to let anyone know what's going on. I don't need to move meetings around. I can just kind of go do it, and my day can adjust accordingly depending on what I need to do that day. And I mean, having control over my time, that's like a dream for, I know, a lot of people, but it's something that, again, I don't take it for granted, being able to just have control over my day and what my day looks like, and being able to adjust that schedule very easily, and to say, oh, okay, I got to run out and do this thing, no big deal, I'm going to do that, is, again, it's amazing. I'm going to be saying amazing a lot in this video. Sorry. Another thing is I get to work at a much more natural pace that suits me better. So again, I worked in client services or consulting for a long time, and you know, deadlines are very real and they're very frequent. And you know, honestly, most deadlines they're just made up. Like someone at the top just made a deadline, and then everyone has to like hustle to hit it. And you know, those artificial timelines created by people who don't necessarily understand the mechanics of getting there.
So true.
You know, that's something that people deal with every day, and it's really hard. So the fact that I can work at a much more natural pace, and I do set deadlines for myself, but I don't set it. I'm not going to say like, oh, I'm going to hit this deadline in 6 months, because it's like, all right, well, 6 months from now it's a long time.
I think you mean set goals.
I will set deadlines once I feel confident that I can get there, and that's usually, you know, a few weeks out, maybe a month out or something like that.
I think he's just over chatting now.
Up to that point, it's definitely much more flexible, and I work, again, at a much more natural pace for me. I like to work very slow. So the next thing is
I very slow.
Have no meetings, like 0. I've had I guess technically a couple over the past year, probably less than 5. That's more just like catching up with people over Zoom or whatever. And that is such a dramatic change from what my day-to-day looked like before.
So he's an indie, like he just does it
my role,
himself?
my job,
Is it his own app then?
So I managed a team of people, and then just, you know, most of my time was in meetings, and meetings have their time and place, but it is so nice to have, it feels like a luxurious amount of heads down time to just work on stuff and to think about stuff and make stuff, and it's great. It's amazing. Now the next thing is that I feel like I work one job now, which is actually true, because I do work one job now. So for years I was basically working 2 jobs.
This is kind of the life I want to have as well.
Back in
I do want to be an indie dev.
2015, and in 2017
obviously you don't want to work for someone.
Time development of it, and you know, doing that plus a full-time job
gonna speed him up
a lot. And you know, anyone who does like stuff on the side, they know that it's very hard and very challenging
the good,
to keep
the bad
financially. Okay, so let's talk about some of the bad stuff, and it's actually kind of hard because there's really not that much bad about this. And for me, right, remember, all this stuff is my personal experience here, so it's gonna be different for everybody. But I would say the first thing is not having coworkers. That might sound a little weird, because
okay, so he does do it by himself.
Which is full of coworkers, to do something by myself.
Sofa.
And I love working by myself, and you know, it's something I
good
enjoy
name for his app.
But it is fun to work with other people. That is something I enjoy, and it's I think it's not even just like an enjoyment thing. Like, it's fun to make friends and build relationships and see people during the week.
You know, I might rename my app actually as well.
It's something that, like, that's just
before I release it.
Something like this. But there's other stuff where it's like I don't have any coworkers to.
What does he learn? This video is kind of boring.
All right, so now let's talk about some of the things that I've learned, I guess. I don't really know what to call this section, but things I've learned. So when I initially went full-time last summer, in that video that I posted, I talked about how, oh, now
This
I have all this
picture.
time because I'm going full-time. I'll be able to do weekly YouTube videos. And I tried that for a few weeks, and holy crap, gang, that's pretty hard. Basically, it was like YouTube and Sofa, so like the act of like working on the app and doing YouTube. I'm still figuring that stuff out. I think like those are kind of like the two core things. And
See, he probably hasn't tried live streaming, right?
but like when it really comes down to it, Sofa is the priority. Like that is my main chunk of work. And if I have to choose between doing a YouTube video and working on Sofa, Sofa's going to win. And that's how it has to be, and that's okay. And I don't think I appreciated how much time the YouTube stuff would take, which it may sound weird because I've been doing YouTube videos for a while now. And I thought I would have a better estimate of that. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll be able to keep working on Sofa and do one YouTube video a week. But I think the biggest struggle with that is the stuff with Sofa can take, it kind of ebbs and flows in the workload. So there's times where the workload is a little bit lower, like after a big release, or maybe I'm just doing bug fixes and kind of prepping for future work. But then there's times where like the workload is super heavy, and I don't want to stop for multiple hours to film and edit and post a YouTube video. And yeah, that's where like I will choose staying in the flow of developing the app as opposed to making a video. And I think the thing I'm like trying to get to, which I haven't quite figured out yet, is
333, guys. It's 333
be
where I
doing
am.
both together, right? And it's like, how do I like document all this stuff and film this stuff as I'm working on it? And again, when it's just me, like how do I do all that? So I'm kind of thinking of like, what if I literally start like vlogging, like actual like traditional vlogging, where like it's basically just like a linear, storyline of day-to-day, week-to-week stuff.
Vlogging will fuck you up,
I might do
man.
that. It's something I'm considering because the
No.
workflow makes sense with how I'm working, and it allows me to kind of document stuff as I go and kind of share things without having to have this whole big YouTube production schedule. So I'm thinking about it. And also when it comes to YouTube schedule, I don't want to just like get into this rhythm of making videos just to make videos. That seems kind of dumb. I'd rather make videos when I have something to say. And if I don't have something to say for a certain period of time, then I don't make a video. No biggie. I'm also adjusting the tooling that I use to kind of like run the business. So again, I worked as a design consultant for the past 9 years, and I worked as a designer before that for a few years. And all of that stuff is in a team environment, right? So collaboration is like, one of the core components of that.
Maybe I should. I actually want to do a coding vlog, like day in the life of someone learning to code. I want to do one of those.
And the tools that I have used.
Holy my! The way where I paused him, fuck.
Are collaborative tools, and because they're designed for
teams.
What
else does he talk about here?
I'm not a team anymore. I'm just
finances. Here we go. Let's talk about this.
See what comes of it. Okay, so now I'm going to get into some questions. So I put out on Threads, Instagram.
Oh my god, this scene is way better than the other ones.
Just, if you had any
Holy
questions
shit!
About the work,
scene's garbage. The lighting.
Okay, so now I put that out there, and a bunch of people wrote questions. So I'm going to go through those, and I have them kind of categorized, and I'll have it linked or a timestamp so you can jump around as you want. But I kind of have them grouped together into some categories just to make it easier to go through these questions. So this first group of questions is around finances. So first question is from Michaela Karan, and it is, how do you plan your income? Because apps can be variable month to month. Yes. So my income, it does vary month to month because some months there's a spike and some months it's just, maybe not flat, but not as big of a spike, that kind of thing. The way I did this was before I went full-time. So as of July of 2024, I've had the Super Sofa subscription for about 3 years. And so I have like 3 years of sales data. And before I decided to go full-time.
So he has a subscription.
I had enough consistently predictable monthly income where I was seeing kind of like the average monthly income. So I felt comfortable to be able to say, okay, well, I'm at least making this per month, and then I can make plans based off of that. And over the last year, that average monthly income has gone up, which is great. But I do have like a minimum that I need to hit per month to be able to do what I'm doing. And so far, so good. This question is from Craig Osborne.
Wow,
do you worry if Sofa's income starts to drop? And have you planned for that? This is kind of related to the previous question. So yes, Sofa's income could drop. I think this is actually the main power and benefit of subscriptions, where you can have predictable income per month, per year, depending on the number of monthly subscribers, annual subscribers. And I know there's all this, I think it's kind of overblown, the hate towards subscriptions, but it makes doing this possible, and it makes planning for, you know, my own income, but then even like reinvesting into the business, much more sustainable and much easier to do. So while it is possible that like there could be this mass exodus of Sofa customers at some point, and then, you know, my revenue would drop per month or per year, I think that is unlikely. And I'm really, at this point, I'm only seeing the numbers go up. And, you know, it's not like I'm spending every dollar that I get, right? So it's not like I make so much money that I spend it all the next month. So I do try and smartly invest in the growth of the business at this point, and make, you know, somewhat intelligent purchasing decisions around gear, around marketing, around all types of stuff, you know, the tooling that I need to use. So I don't worry too much about it, other than the fact that, like, at this point, I'm very invested in like the growth of the business, and not so much in like it's all going to go away tomorrow. So
what does he do
Little Tanner 3
about marketing? I
how
wonder.
do you handle health insurance? I'm on my wife's health insurance. I had my own, well, not my own health insurance. So the previous company I worked for, I was on their health insurance. But this is the USA, and health insurance is very expensive. So I am luckily able to get on my wife's health insurance through her work.
America's fucked.
To be honest, if I couldn't do that, I wouldn't be doing this, right? Like, because health insurance is just so expensive, and I'm very lucky to be able to be on my wife's health insurance. So some of you may think that's like cheating or something, but like it's the way it is. Another question from Little Tanner 3: any financial things from being
just
in
take
the
advantage
dev that you didn't expect before? Nothing major, because again, I didn't go into this like blind. I had by the time I went full time, I had 2 years roughly of sales data from the Sofa subscriptions. And I've been doing taxes for the business for multiple years at that point. So there really wasn't anything surprising or that caught me off guard in terms of like I had to pay for something. I guess maybe the one thing I had to get this year was I had to get like a business mailbox at UPS.
So 2 years in, he went pro. He went full in.
In itself, that was pretty cool. So there's a couple questions around like happiness, stress, that kind of stuff. So
marketing. Here's a good.
Karan again. Have you had fun since leaving your job? Yeah, this is the best job I've ever had. And sometimes I feel like kind of crappy saying it to people because I've worked, my last job was really great. But I've worked so many jobs growing up. Like, you know, since I was a teenager, I've had jobs. I've worked, you know, at like a snack bar at a pool. I waited tables. I worked retail for a long time. And like, I've worked crappy jobs and I've had crappy bosses. And
same.
I am fully able to appreciate what I have right now, which is I don't have a boss.
That's the thing. Some people can't. Some people definitely can't appreciate what they have. I've had all these experiences. I can relate totally
to that I work on, and it is not lost on me at all, and I love it. Next question is from Centine Light on Threads. I think I'm saying that right. How's the stress/satisfaction levels? Are you feeling challenged and happier being indie? So yeah, I just kind of talked about this. But I'll talk about the stress part. My stress is significantly lower. In my previous role, I was a manager for like the past couple of years. I managed a team of designers. And there was just a lot of pros to that stuff, but it just came with a lot of stress. And since just working for me, with me, all that kind of stuff, my stress levels are.
So he must not be making that much that he can't afford his own health insurance, or he just wants to have his. I mean, obviously, people would want to have the lowest overhead as possible. So why not get on your wife's, you know, health insurance? But like, he didn't mention that he could pay for it, which means he just wanted to get out of the game, get out of the job world as fast as possible. Even if he must not be making that much. He must just be making enough to like do this.
Significantly lower. And I was asking my wife about this the other night because it was like, oh, it's 1 year since, you know, I've been full time. And she said she's noticed that my stress level has definitely dropped and it's much better. And then if I'm feeling challenged, definitely happier for sure. Definitely still challenged. Like I am by no means like satisfied with where the business is. I'm happy with where the business is, but I'm not satisfied. And I think there's a lot of potential for more growth. There's a lot I still want to build for Sofa specifically. Like I just have so many ideas for what to do with it. So I think the level of challenge is definitely still there, and it's something that I don't see going away anytime soon. You know, I feel like if I get to the point where I'm not really like challenged by the work, then I may need to start looking at something else. But I'm very, very far from that right now. So there's one question about marketing from Nicholas Dirk. What have you learned about marketing an app in that year, given that its income now supports you?
Yes, I want to know this.
There's a lot of ways to answer this question. I don't know if I've learned like a ton about marketing this year, but I do know that marketing is expensive and can be very time consuming. And basically like how I'm viewing marketing for Sofa is There's the
It's
free
so
marketing,
time-consuming.
and then there's
Holy
the paid
fuck.
marketing. And the paid marketing,
Hey, Sai.
you know, it's just expensive,
How's
right?
it going?
You're paying to get Sofa in front of a certain audience. And I've done, you know, I've sponsored podcasts, websites, YouTube channels, and I plan to do more of that in the future. But all that has kind of been within like the tech Apple world, and I would like to start expanding out beyond that world a little bit, right? I would like,
Pretty
you know,
good.
Sofa's.
This guy's name's Sean Hickman. Can you guys not see his name? Oh, sorry, you can't. This is his first. He's talking about his first year as a full-time indie iOS app developer. So I just wanted to check out his story while I cook some food. I'm not learning at the moment because I need to eat. So, link, please. Yeah, sure. Here you go. My day was so far weird. I woke up like, I think I had a little bit of broken sleep today, so I woke up kind of late and still felt really tired. Got up, had 2 cups of coffee, that was enjoyable, and started learning Swift pretty much. So that was nice. I do have to do some work later tonight doing Uber Eats and stuff. As you can see, I'm not making a ton of income from YouTube, so yeah. And it's rainy today. I also am gonna go pick up my fiance, Emmy. Because it's rainy and I feel like she'll appreciate being picked up in the rain. She won't have to come back on the bus and the tram and stuff. It's just like shitty to do that, you know? But I'm just making some food, so that's why I'm watching this guy at the moment. How was your day?
Kind of a broad product where it can be great for people who are avid readers or who are super into video games or really into TV and movies or whatever. And I think there's ways to get in front of those different audiences outside of like just the tech bubble or the Apple bubble. You know, I'm really thinking about like the thing that comes to mind is there's so much content around like people who love reading. So I would like to start exploring doing some paid stuff outside of the, you know, the tech Apple world. And then for the free marketing, that's, you know, it's cheap. It's cheap in money, but it's not cheap in time. It takes a lot of time to do. And honestly, like me doing YouTube is marketing, right? If you really think about it, I'm talking about the product, I'm showcasing the product. I'm also, you know, kind of sharing like my experience, which can be maybe entertaining or educational, but it's also a form of marketing at the same time. So I wouldn't say I learned anything like super new this year, but marketing is still a very huge part of what I do. So the next section, a bunch of questions around being an indie dev and that experience. So Michaela Karan asks, what do you enjoy most about being an indie dev?
Advice.
The level of control that I have over
just gonna
the
listen
work I do and when I do it that's it. That's my favorite thing. Next question, again from Michaela. What's the worst thing about being an indie dev? Probably the fact that I don't have people to bounce things off of, like ideas, strategy, or if I'm like stuck. I talked about this a little bit earlier in the video, but that's probably the worst part, right? Which is, you know, I'm only one person. There's
I mean,
limits
he
to
would
that.
have
There's pros and
AI
cons to
now,
it.
right?
So
you could bounce ideas.
That's probably
I actually bounce ideas off AI. I see. Yeah, you meant YouTube. I figured.
First part, I think. Craig Osborne, if you started again, would you have waited longer before going full time? No, I actually would have done it sooner. I think, you know, I had in my head that I had to be at a certain revenue number with Sofa to be able to go full time. And then there were certain events that happened last year that made me reevaluate that stuff and kind of run the numbers. And it was like, oh, we can actually do this now. And I don't have to wait. And it was kind of like, oh, I probably could have done this 6 months earlier, maybe. So yeah, I don't have any regrets there. And I wouldn't have waited longer. I probably would have done it sooner. But all that's with like, you know, I ran the numbers a lot and talked to a lot of people to get advice on like the pros and cons of this stuff. So I wasn't just like jumping into the deep end blind. And, you know, that there's kind of like this romantic idea of like, I'm going to quit my job and, you know, do my own thing. You have to be ready for it and you have to do the right preparation. And I feel like I did that. Okay. I Enjoy asks, biggest surprise.
I feel like I've already done that sort of like, cause I do the freelancing of Uber Eats. So I'm kind of like there at the moment, but I don't have I'm not doing what I love, even though I do like doing Uber, which is, it's kind of, doing Uber Eats is a little bit addictive, not gonna lie. It is.
Maybe.
But I do love sitting at home more and doing coding, so.
All right, this is gonna sound like I'm bragging. I'm not bragging. But when I was at WWDC in June, so I had Sofa t-shirts made because I thought like, okay, if people know about the app, maybe they'll recognize it, they'll come say hello. I would say there was more people than I thought that knew about the app and actually said hello. And the funniest one that I'm thinking of is like, I'm at Apple's headquarters, and there's like a lunch break, and I went to use the bathroom, and when I come out, I'm walking around the side, and one of the
It'd be one day I want to go to WWDC, and I'll live stream it.
security guard says, "Oh, hey, are you
That'd
the
be
guy
so
who makes
fun.
sofa?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, I love that Apple." I'm just like, "What the hell?" The fact that like the security guard at the Apple event recognized sofa and said hello, and all, it's awesome. And again, I'm not bragging. It's just that was cool. Joe Piscavage asks, biggest regret? Go. Biggest regret? I mean, this isn't like a huge regret, but like not going full time sooner. I think I was ready before I thought I was, financially and all that stuff. So yeah, I would say that. Another question from Joe. Do you feel that you've successfully fulfilled the dream of quote unquote working for yourself? In some ways, yes, some ways, no. This past year, I would say this. So there's a certain financial target that I am going for with Sofa as like kind of the minimum, and I'm not there yet, and I don't feel like I've made it.
Oh, really?
And
that's cool. Did you? I guess you liked it because you said it was fun. Did you like when you go there? What do you see exactly? Do you like get to like go into a bunch of like demos and stuff?
that's like the target I'm going for. So in some ways, I feel great that I'm doing this, and that I'm fulfilling the dream of working for me and having this level of control. But financially, there's still the targets that I'm shooting for, and so I wouldn't say I've like, what do you say, fulfilled the dream. I don't feel like I'm there yet because it's only been a year, and I feel like I have a lot more to do. So I don't feel like I've done it now, right? Like I feel like I'm doing it, but I haven't done it, if that makes sense. Little Tanner 3, do you find it hard to take vacations or time away from working on your app? No, and this is something that I used to have trouble with like stepping away from work, and taking time off, and I used to equate time in front of the computer as time working, and that actually isn't always true. And because a lot of times, like, you can be in front of the computer, but you're not really doing anything productive. You may just be like jumping between apps, or you keep checking email, right? But you're not actually doing anything. So
That's so true, actually.
over the past couple years, I've gotten better at knowing when I'm doing that kind of stuff where I'm not actually working. If I'm doing like the kind of like fake productivity, like I'm bouncing between apps, maybe organizing tasks or looking through email, right? When that stuff starts to happen, I will take breaks. Sometimes that's like, I need 20 minutes. Sometimes I need like the rest of the day, or maybe I need like a couple days. It's fine. But I feel no guilt taking time off, taking vacations. And I used to say to people that I managed that, like, because they would feel guilt, especially like, if you're earlier on in your career, there's this weird perception that like you need to be working all the time. And I was like,
oh my God, that's me.
You'll never regret taking time off. You're not going to regret taking that vacation, but you will regret not taking it and just, continuously working endlessly. And honestly, I think it makes my work better by not always being in the mix of it. Like, that's why having a hobby.
There are labs at Apple Park and the developer center. The day before is a meet and greet with a bunch of other devs from all over. The WWDC day, it is mostly the State of the Union and main presentation. Oh, that's cool. And you hang out with people and try out the betas. Oh, that's awesome. That does sound a lot of fun. I'd love to. I can't even imagine like meeting a bunch of other developers and stuff doing this type of thing. And then going there and then being like, oh, you build your app with React Native? Disappointment. No, I'm kidding.
Is so important. That's why like hanging out with family and friends is important. That's why, I don't know, just like reading a book.
I mean, people that go there would they just mainly be usually iOS specific, like native developers, or do you mean a lot of like people who develop with a lot of different products? Even if you don't get in plenty of community events like iOS Dev Happy Hour. Oh yeah. Wasn't it you who sent me the iOS Dev Happy Hour thing? It was, right? Because I joined that thing.
Just like going for a walk
on Discord.
Like all that kind of stuff matters, because even if you're not aware of it, your brain is still kind of working on stuff, and those other experiences will give you, I think, a richer perspective on the work that you do, as opposed to just solely focusing and keeping your nose to the grindstone all the time. Another one from Little Tanner 3. Anything in particular that gave you the courage to take the leap to work on your app full time? There wasn't anything that gave me the courage. It was more like, could this work? and that's where, you know, when the conversation got serious with my wife, where I'm like, hey, I think it's time to do this. It became more like, okay, what does that actually look like? What does it look like, number one, financially? So like looking at the numbers, but then what does that look like for us on like a weekly basis or a monthly basis or a yearly basis? And, you know, because like even the payment schedule is different for me now, where I would get a paycheck every 2 weeks, and now I get technically a paycheck from Apple like roughly once a month, right, depending on the payment schedule. And all of that, like there was this weird period of like, you look at the numbers and everything, yes, this looks like it will work, but there's the experience of it, which is much harder to plan for because you don't know what it's going to feel like. And I remember that was really the I guess the scary part of it for both me and my wife, which is like, okay, logically this works. We've talked to a bunch of people about the pros and cons of this. You know, what's it going to feel like? We don't know until we do it. And I remember being maybe a few months into it, 2 or 3 months, and we were both surprised at how okay things were and how like it didn't feel that different for us in a way, which was, I guess, surprising in a way, but also just very reassuring. And just like, all right, that's good. So it shows like our preparation worked, even though it's hard to prepare for the kind of like emotional stuff and
this
you know, how it's going to
point
feel.
that he's
So
talking about
I don't know if that
now
fully answers the
is
question, but that's about.
Sorry, I haven't seen if you've sent anything. Oh yeah, yes, that was you. Yeah, thought so. Oops. This the point that he's talking about now is so interesting because like I think it's something that I would really have to organize better with my partner, because like she can barely handle me. Like I think she can't handle it when I'm like, she'll see me sitting here at home and she won't see what I'm doing, so it's like hard for her to imagine I'm doing anything. And I don't know, maybe this stems from some sort of like, you know, uh just indoctrination style of like living, especially because she comes from Japan. So like, it's like, oh, I can't see you doing something. You're not doing anything valuable. Like I think if this was to happen for me, I would, we would have to have another space where I'd be able to work. Because at the moment we live in like, it's a pretty small apartment. Um, so like she can see me doing anything pretty much from anywhere. And like I can't even, like, as you guys know, I have quiet modes where I can't talk at night. I can't chat, like I can't be loud. Which is fine. I'm totally fine with that. It's just like the fact that I can't do it, there's no space, there's no like she needs to there has to be this like disconnect from her and me where if I'm not in the room, she assumes that I'm probably doing something because she can't see me either way. You know what I mean? Like I'd have to have another room with like a work room. So we need another bedroom or something here to like facilitate this actually working. Where when I release my app and I'm making money from home, like she sees, like she has to visualize, because it won't be immediate success and she'd have to visualize it. It would be difficult for her, I think, to visualize this type of thing. I know her really well. We've been together for 2 years. Over 2 years. Actually, since yesterday, we've been together for 2 years and 2 months. And we've pretty much been living together that whole time, so I know her really well. You'd expect to if you asked one to marry you. And yeah, I think that's pretty much what would need to happen for her to like accept either that, or like I just make so much money in like a year or maybe 6 months that I like buy a house or something, like showing her some sort of asset that I got from said work that doesn't exist in front of her face. That's the only way. Oh my god, I'm hungry. Woo! Glad this food's ready. Gotta turn you guys around. Oh, okay. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Ow, I just sat on. Oh, fuck, I just sat on important stuff. Doing important stuff here. So that was a reference to a movie. Okay. Oh.
That's how you do. Little Tanner 3, anything you wish you knew before you took the leap? I guess I wish I knew what it would felt like emotionally to do this, just day to day, but like, I don't think that's possible to know. But other than that, I don't think there's anything. Another one from Little Tanner 3, besides your app not making enough income to support you, is there anything that would make you not want to work for yourself again? At this point, no. I've made jokes to people this year that like, I think I'm ruined and I don't know if I can ever go back to working for someone else. Like, this is for the type of work life that I want and just life in general that I want. This is what I've been working towards anyway. So I don't want to go back right now. That may change in the future. Maybe once I'm 5 years deep into this, maybe
That feels
maybe
so
I don't want to do
accurate
this
for
anymore.
me. Like, I do not want to go back. I cannot. I'm ruined. Like, doing Uber, earning money without having to talk to anyone. I mean, this would obviously be way better because if I could do this, I'd literally not have to talk to anyone. But sometimes I have to talk to Uber support, which is absolutely garbage. And so is Amazon. Amazon support's a bit better, but their app is garbage.
I kind of doubt it. Yeah. This is nice. Another one from Little Tanner. If you could go back in time, would you take the leap sooner? If so, what would you tell yourself? So you took the leap to full-time to indie dev. I kind of already talked about this, but I would have done it sooner because I think I...
Anything else he says here that's interesting? Productivity, that's... This guy... Let's see what it says about insights.
And enjoy using it. Just blows my mind. All right, this next group is around productivity type stuff. So from Michaela Karan, how do you organize your day as an indie dev? So I try...
Watch him say that he's not organized at all.
Keep a basic like 9 to 5-ish schedule. And that's really to align with like my wife gets home maybe around like 4 because she goes in early. So I try and have...
See, you have to align with your wife. I mean, you'd want to, but you have to at the same time.
The heavy stuff done by the time she gets home, so I kind of start wrapping the day up. It doesn't always work out that way, but I try to. So the way I organize my day is, I try and start work around 9, and most of my time is structured around the app, right? So whether it's the current release I'm working on with certain features or fixing bugs or whatever, that's the majority of my time. I'm kind of generalizing here because like week to week it will vary. If it's like right after a big release, I will try and take a few weeks that are a little bit lighter, where I focus more on admin stuff, maybe catching up on like support emails or writing documentation, or doing bookkeeping and stuff like that. But I try and have, throughout the course of a year, I try and have most of my time focused on like the product and thinking about the product, like the strategy for like the next couple features that I'm going to work on, or like actively writing code. So that's what I try and do. And basically, it's like, I don't know, it's pretty normal where like my mornings I'll work, I'll take a break for lunch, I'll do more work, and then my wife starts to get home, and then I start wrapping up the day, start making dinner, all that kind of stuff. So it's actually pretty, I guess, like traditional. Nothing crazy. Another question from Michaela.
How does he deal with lunchtime?
Productive as your 9 to 5? Yeah, I do.
I wonder.
I think that I guess like the next initial question you may think of, do I feel more productive or less productive? I don't know. I think it varies. I think the biggest difference is that I don't feel the pressure to be like as productive as possible every single day, every single week, right? There's like Cal Newport talks about like seasonality in work and how, going like full tilt every day all year is really not possible. Or if you're doing that, there might be something kind of wrong. So I feel like on the whole, yeah, I'm just as productive as, other places I've worked.
But in reality as well, life should not be like that, which sucks for people who don't have the mindset to, like break out of the corporate world, because as soon as you do, you realize you should never have been like that in the first place. But a lot of people are too afraid to break out of it because they worry what's going to happen to their life. But like, and to be fair, I'm in a like a really good situation here where I can kind of live here. But like, if I needed to, I can work more, make more money doing Uber, for example, and Amazon. Yeah, you obviously have to make money somewhere. It's just making that decision on where to do it and what situation you have. But like the statement still stands that people are too scared to like try and break out of it. You know, they don't even try.
It's just more satisfying because I'm using that productivity for something I truly care about, and it's for me. Centene Light, do you find it hard to maintain focus throughout the day? Do you find certain things helpful to maintain focus?
This is such a classic question.
Sometimes, yeah, it's hard. You know, just like anybody else, like sometimes I'm tired, or I don't know, like there's, I feel like I'll give a concrete example of, you know, I launched Over 4.0 in April, and I'd been working on that release for close to a year, not a full year, but close to a year. And that was some of the hardest work I've ever done, especially on the development side. Like there was just a lot of new stuff and things that I never experienced before that I had to learn and figure out. And after I released it, and after the first couple bug fixes, because like I always know, like especially with like a .0 release, like there's going to be bug fix releases, because like even with beta testing, you're not going to catch everything. So I knew that after those first few, okay, get things stable after that, that basically I didn't want to like look at Xcode for, I don't know, a couple weeks, because I was just like, I was kind of sick of it.
And okay, so he is a native developer. Cool.
I needed a break. I needed to do something else. I needed to like step back and get perspective, because I'd like been in the weeds for a long time. So basically like my focus after those bug fix releases was like atrocious, right? But I think that's normal, because I mentally needed that break. So, you know, I focused more on admin work, or maybe like, I don't know, like I didn't work. I actually took some time off during that, like not even traveling, just like I'm off, like I'm not working these days. And that was really nice. And then what's funny is like when I take those stretches of time off, coming back to work is always a little tough, because you have to kind of like warm yourself back up into the work, especially like when you're warming yourself back up into maybe heavier work, like a big new feature, or even fixing bugs sometimes, depending on what the bug is. So yeah, sometimes I find it hard to focus. When that happens though, the thing that helps me is I will pick like the easiest thing to do, and I will start from there. So I think it's called like, I feel like I've heard this called something like the snowball effect or something, where all I want to do is gain momentum to start doing stuff. And this is like the opposite of some people start with like, do the hardest thing first, right? I think it's called like eat the frog. Depends on your style, your personality. I prefer, I'm going to start as easy as possible. And that can be as like, I'm going to answer a support email easy, or I'm going to fix the simplest bug, or what I think is the simplest bug.
The easy method definitely works for me
momentum,
to get
and then
snowballing.
Pretty quickly after that, like maybe it's a couple hours or a couple days of doing that.
What did he call them?
It's like, do the hardest thing first. I will pick like the easiest thing to do, for this, and I will start from there. So I think it's called like, I feel like I've heard this called something like the snowball effect or something, where all I want to do is gain momentum to start doing stuff. And this is like the opposite of some people start with like, do the hardest thing first, right? I think it's called like eat the frog. Depends on your style, your personality. I prefer, I'm going to start as easy as possible. And that can be as like, I'm going to answer a support email easy, or I'm going to fix the simplest bug, or what I think is the simplest bug. And then slowly build momentum. And then pretty quickly after that, like maybe it's a couple hours or a couple days of doing that, I'm kind of back in it, and then I'm fine. Little Tanner 3 asks, do you find it harder to concentrate or to get motivated to work when you work for yourself?
It's a fun poll.
No, I don't. I actually find it easier. There's very little distraction, especially like when you work in a team environment. It's very easy to get interrupted, and those interruptions can be for good reason, right? There's meetings you have to go to. There's just a lot of stuff. So I actually find it easier to concentrate, because like I can put on whatever music I want. I don't have meetings to kind of break up my day. I can have these long chunks of time to focus on stuff.
Fun.
Yeah, it has not been a problem. How do I get motivated? I kind of just talked about this, but like sometimes I'm motivated by like the idea that I have, or the thing I'm working on, where I'm like kind of pumped about it. Other times it takes a little bit of that momentum building to get there.
Let's see what it says about it in advice.
Like, I don't know, maybe just take a day off, right? Go play Zelda or something, or go for a walk. Okay, so there's kind of like some advice style questions that came in, and take all this with a grain of salt, right? Like this is all my advice, but like apply it to your own life. You know, not everything that works for me is going to work for you. Michaela Karan asks, what would you say to someone just getting started as an indie who is wanting to go full time? I would say to get your finances in order, pay off all your debt, build a savings, have like 6 months to a year of savings in the bank if you can do it, and have revenue from the business already, right? Like this is my opinion. I think if you just quit without like that infrastructure in place, and you don't have any revenue coming in, or you don't have any savings, or you're already in debt, I mean, it might work out, but you're going to be crazy stressed the whole time. So I kind of waited for those conditions to be there, and it has made this first year a true pleasure. This question is from Elid Deser. I'm sorry about that. When is the right time to leave work, I guess your job, and go full-time with your app? It kind of relates to the previous question, which is like,
okay, I might just go to see if
revenue from the business. Again, that's gonna be really hard. Okay, so the next group of questions are around like code, the app sofa that I work on, that kind of stuff.
Here we go.
Little Tanner 3, have you ever ran into a code issue you couldn't solve? If so, how did you handle it? Did you have other developers to help? Yeah, so I talked about this a little bit so far, but yes, that has happened multiple times. I do have some friends that I can reach out to who are very helpful if I'm like super stuck. And again, I try not to reach out unless I'm like, I don't know what else to do. Like, please point me in a good direction here. But like I said before, I've also found tools like ChatGPT and Claude to be extremely helpful. And I want to clarify, like, I'm not just like grabbing the code that they're giving me and pasting it in. I'm trying to put it in context to the problem I'm solving. And when I say that they've helped me solve problems, it's like they've helped me identify like where I should even look for the bug, right? So like, because sometimes you get a stack trace and it's just not helpful because you're just like, what? Like, where is the issue here? And those tools have been very helpful. And just
my experience is reverse. It never points me in the right direction to what to freaking look at.
I almost like talk to it back and forth and just keep feeding it more context and more information. And then it has helped me solve very tricky problems that I ran into. So from Little Tanner 3, do you have any anxiety launching a new version to the App Store? Do you have a test flight beta? Yes. Okay. Yeah. Every launch, there is low-key anxiety, except it's like if it's literally just bug fixes, then I'm fine with that. But like, yeah, there's always anxiety around launches. Mostly around like, it's like, I hope there's not some really horrible bug in here, right? And I do everything I can to make sure there isn't. And I really haven't had anything major, which is good, but you never know. Do you have a test flight beta? Yes. So I run a public beta for Sofa. This is one of the ways to mitigate those really terrible bugs that can sneak in. Is I want to have people testing the stuff, not only for like feedback on new ideas and stuff to kind of make things better, but also to catch bugs and to avoid shipping something that is not good. I have found the public beta that I run to just be the best, and the people who are testing, they give great feedback. They're very active in the Discord.
I will have my app up sometime soon, maybe in the next 2 weeks on test flight. So if anyone listening is interested in helping me test my app, that would be awesome. And I'll definitely be posting about it in Discord, so you guys will probably see it there. I think a lot of you guys are already in there.
And especially active when like something new is being worked on. So during like the 4.0 development cycle, that was super helpful. Little Tanner 3, do you write unit tests to help if you know of any code changes break other parts of the app? Have you had any situations where you pushed code that broke the app in some way or created
wait, what?
Unit tests to help if you know of any code changes break other parts of the app? Have you had any situations where you pushed code that broke the app in some way or created a big bug? So how did you handle it? There wasn't anything that I pushed that was a big bug.
That's actually pretty funny.
At least not that I can remember.
I never write unit tests
last
either.
Summer, board games got
like
removed.
print.
So one of the data
statements.
sources I used for the app was Board Game Atlas for board game data. And one day they just went out of business. And I was getting emails saying like, hey, board game data isn't loading, all that stuff. And I looked, they went out of business, no notice, nothing. So that was a mad scramble to fix it as much as I could, and I was able to reach out to the developer of that service, and I got an extension on API access for I think it was like an additional month or two, and so I hustled to try and build in a feature where it would save all your board game data locally. So when that API access went away, you still had all the data, and I was able to get that out pretty quickly. But yeah, that was that was very stressful. Another one from Little Tanner. Any bad experiences
was that
with
a paid
customers
app,
that we can
though?
learn from? There hasn't been anything crazy. Most people are pretty great.
Interesting.
People are nice. On the whole, like, people are nice. I know social media makes it look like people are not nice, but they are. And I get plenty of nice emails from people. And one of the things I actually really like is a lot of people just email me by name and they'll say, hey, Sean, and blah, blah, blah. Right. I actually love that instead of just thinking this is some big corporation with some support email that no one looks at. So that's been really nice. I would say the only negative experiences really are like, there's some people who are just allergic to paying for software or paying for apps, and they find it like fundamentally repulsive that anyone would even charge for software. It's very strange, but those people tend to be very loud, and they are the ones who will mostly write the bad reviews on iTunes or send me, stupid emails or something like that. But I don't really care about that. Like, that person was never going to pay anyway. I could have the cheapest app and they weren't going to pay anyway. So it doesn't matter. So it's, there's some people who are just not a fit for the product, whether it's Sofa or any other product. And sometimes they're going to be very loud and obnoxious in telling you that they don't like your product or the fact that you charge is horrendous or whatever. But honestly, like, I don't really care because, and that's not to be dismissive of them, but like, I'm not going to focus my time and energy on someone who was never a customer anyway, and who was never going to be a customer. Like, there's nothing I can say to that person to convince them that, yeah, paying for software is good. So, I don't know what to tell them. 650 asks, how many hours did it take you to create Sofa? I don't know. I don't even know how to answer that question. Like, create the initial version. I created in 2017, I took over development and created a new version of the app, and I did that in 6 months. But the app was super basic, like really, really, like, if you compare it to what it is today, that app, it almost feels like a completely different app. And really, since then, it's just been like countless hours of making things better, me improving as a designer, as a developer, as a product person, that the product itself getting better. I don't know, thousands, tens of thousands. I don't know how many hours are in a year. I have no idea. A long time. Another question from 650. Did you consider hiring someone versus building it yourself? No, I've not considered hiring someone. I did work with 2 friends for the first version of Sofa in 2015. And like I said, I took it over in 2017. Those people are still my friends. I still talk to them. Nothing bad happened. And as I've gone through this, I actually kind of love that this is a one-person business. And unless I was like really forced to do it, because like, say the business grew in some way that I couldn't scale with it, maybe I would hire people, but like, I don't have any plans to do that at this point. So from Qualope, I'm not saying that right. Have you found yourself enjoying media much better than before after creating Sofa? That's a fun question. I would say no. I think my relationship to the media stuff is the same. I think this is not answering your question at all, but like, it makes me think of what I love most about Sofa. And I think the feature that I get the most use out of is the logbook, where it literally just like keeping track of the movies that I've watched, the books that I've read, the games I've played, because I kind of treat it like a journal, and I'll write little sticky notes to things. And now with like 4.0, since you can add anything to Sofa, like restaurants or hikes or places or YouTube videos or all this kind of stuff, like, it's really, for me, it's kind of opened up how I use the logbook even more. And so like, I'm keeping track of like the restaurants I went to and if I liked them, and yeah, so I find it to be that logbook feature to be my favorite specifically for that. And I feel like the logbook, like, I have a lot of ideas for that. I feel like that could be like its own app. But yeah, so I would say like, it's made me more conscious of how I've spent my time, which, makes a lot of sense for what the app is. But the logbook specifically has, because I like looking back to see, there's certain
I'm
years where I've
still
read logbooks
streaming.
and certain years where I read like 1 or 2. It's kind of interesting to.
Yeah, I've just been watching this guy because I had to get some food, bro. But speaking of still streaming, I actually have to go and pick up Emmy. So I don't know if I'll be back streaming again later because I have to go to the gym and I have to do some Uber Eats. So I'm not gonna say I will. I will be back, maybe. And then again tomorrow I'll be back. So thanks for coming back for like 5 seconds. I do have to start getting ready to head out. So but yeah, I was just like getting some insight from this guy who's doing his own thing. I was gonna watch this one as well. Ultimate Guide to 5K per month as an indie app developer. So I was gonna have a look at that, but I might just watch that in my own time. Looks like a clickbait scene though, not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. Alright guys, thanks so much for coming in here. We had 2 votes on this. I'm surprised it's so polarized. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see more content. I will be working more on my my startup app probably tomorrow, because I have to have it done by either tomorrow or Friday. It's pretty much done actually. Thank God I did so much last night. And yeah, feel free to join the Discord as well. My app will be coming out probably in the next 2 weeks. And I hope you guys can beta test it. So that'd be awesome if you guys would help me with that. Thank you, Aniket. You too. You've got a full rest of your day ahead. I've got like half a day left. And yeah, see you later. You too, Taylor.